Chapter 59. Motherf Kerr, beat him to death! Brother Hui was a local tyrant, and he had always been the one to bully others. No one had ever dared to bully him. Today, he wanted to come out and earn some money for the new year, but he actually suffered such a huge loss. How could he endure it? Thus, with a loud shout, he took out a dagger from his waist and stabbed at Wang Yu. Wang Yu protected Mu Zixin behind him, and reached out to grab Brother Hui's wrist. With a twist, he pulled Brother Hui's arm behind his head, and his other hand immediately grabbed Brother Hui's elbow and pulled it back. Crack! Another terrifying sound of bones breaking rang out. Brother Hui's arm was forcefully broken from the shoulder, and it hung limply. In the blink of an eye, both of Brother Hui's arms were destroyed. When the onlookers heard Brother Hui's condition, they were all shocked. Wang Yu coldly stared at Brother Hui, who had fallen to the ground and was screaming in pain. There was no change in his expression. Wang Yu had been practicing martial arts since he was young, and it had already been 21 years. Because the Wang family had a rule that no one was allowed to use martial arts against ordinary people, in these 21 years, other than sparring, Wang Yu had only fought 3 times. The first time was 3 years ago, the second time was a few days ago, and the last time was this time. 2 times was for Mu Zixin, and the last time was for a righteous cause. Even if it was to punish evil and promote good, it was still against the ancestral teachings. If the family found out, they would definitely punish him severely. But this time, Wang Yu did not have the slightest hesitation. Now, Wang Yu only had Mu Zixin in his life. Even if he loved her, she was still his family. The two of them depended on each other, and although they were a poor couple, Mu Zixin never left him without any complaints. At this moment, if he could not even protect his only family, what was the point of practicing martial arts? Wang family? That was already in the past. At the same time, Brother Hui's underlings also stabbed over with their daggers. Wang Yu kicked away the dagger in the hands of the person in front of him, and his right palm struck out 3 times. Pa, pa, pa! At the same time, the 3 slaps rang out, and the 3 people were sent flying, smashing into a nearby dining table. Their heads tilted to one side, and they fainted. Kill that woman! Among Brother Hui's subordinates, a skinny man saw how fierce Wang Yu was and knew that he had met a tough opponent. Thus, he ordered his men to bypass Wang Yu and deal with Mu Zixin. Wang Yu's eyes were miraculous and accurate. His attacks were ruthless and steady. It was the first time in their lives that these hooligans had seen something like this. At this time, when they heard that they didn't have to fight to the death with this kind of person, they were naturally happy and immediately changed their direction. When Wang Yu heard this, his eyes turned cold. He stretched out his hand to stop the person at the front. When that person was stopped, he brandished his sword and slashed. Without saying a word, Wang Yu grabbed that person's wrist and pulled him down. That person was pushed to the ground with one hand, and Wang Yu took the opportunity to step on that person's elbow. Crack! That person's elbow, which was supporting himself on the ground, was directly stepped on to the side of his ear. Dislocating tendons and dislocating bones was a very ancient martial art. Now, it had been adapted and widely used in the military. It was called the joint technique. It lacked the fancy moves of martial arts and was easy to learn. It was rough and beautiful. The person who was responsible for adapting this martial art was Wang Yu's grandfather. As for this martial art, Wang Yu was familiar with it since he was young. He was even more adept at using it than the special forces in the military. The entire restaurant was filled with the sound of joints breaking. Other than the screams of pain, there was nothing else. Other than the skinny man just now, more than 10 hooligans were all on the ground in less than a minute. Everyone's arms were crippled. It wasn't dislocation, it was forcefully broken. Seeing how ruthless Wang Yu was, the skinny man was completely scared. He looked at Wang Yu in fear and said, Don't come over. If you come over, I'll call the police." Wang Yu smiled coldly. "It's just for fun." It's not like you'll die. Ah! The skinny man screamed and turned to run. Wang Yu extended his leg and hooked it, tripping him. He then stepped on the skinny man's shoulder. How much strength did Wang Yu have? That skinny guy's physique was even weaker than a normal person's. How could such a person dare to be a hooligan? What was he thinking? How could he withstand Wang Yu's stomp? Everyone in the restaurant was dumbfounded. Was this the legendary kung fu? It was something that could only be seen in ancient action movies. Today they were seeing it for real. That! Wang Yu looked around at everyone. Everyone was so scared that they retreated. F***CK. Is this guy addicted to fighting? Is he going to fight us? Everyone guessed. Wang Yu's ruthlessness just now inevitably caused fear in everyone's hearts. You won't call the police, right? Wang Yu asked. No. No. Everyone shook their heads. Humans were also animals. It was an animal's instinct to admire the strong. Seeing Wang Yu cleanly take care of the bad guy, if it wasn't for the fear in their hearts, they would have run over to take a photo with him. They wouldn't have called the police. Only the restaurant owner, Old Yu, had a bitter expression. He said, "Hero, how should I address you?" Wang Yu. Mu Zixian's husband. Wang Yu said, "Hero Wang, you beat up Brother Hui. How am I going to open my restaurant in the future?" Old Yu was at a loss. This was reality. Honest people were afraid of offending evil people, but they were not afraid of offending those who helped them. Therefore, there were fewer and fewer people who would help when they saw injustice. The chivalrous spirit was also getting weaker. The chivalrous spirit that the author was talking about was not fighting at the slightest disagreement, but the spirit of being willing to help others. Children, don't misunderstand. This was also one of the reasons why the Wang family did not allow their own people to take action. Wang Yu glanced at Old Yu. The old man was in his 50s, and he really couldn't stand being tossed around. Therefore, Wang Yu walked to Brother Huey's side, pulled a jade pendant from his neck, and stuffed it into Brother Huey's mouth. "I came out in a hurry, so I didn't bring any money. This is for you. Don't come looking for trouble in the future, okay?" Brother Hui didn't dare to say no at this time. He kept the jade pendant in his mouth and nodded. Wang Yu stood up and said, "All right, he said he won't come in the future. If he dares to come in the future, just give me a call. I live nearby." Old Yu nodded blankly. "Let's go, wife." Wang Yu held Mu Zixian's hand and said, "It's messy outside. Don't come in the future." "But I haven't paid my salary yet," Mu Zixian said. After such a thing happened, Mu Zixian was too embarrassed to come even without Wang Yu's reminder. However, this woman was still thinking about the few hundred yuan in a silly manner. Old Yu quickly handed over the 10,000 yuan and said, "Here is your salary." Wang Yu smiled and took the money. He took out 5 bills and said, "A total of 5 days, 80 a day, a total of 400. You don't have any objections if I take an extra 100 for my wife as a bonus?" "No objections." "Hero Wang, I have no objections even if you take it all," Old Yu said in a hurry. Wang Yu didn't say anything. He reached out and handed the rest of the money back. He naturally knew that Old Yu didn't dare to have any objections, but in this way, wouldn't he become a person like Brother Hui? Outside the restaurant, Mu Zixian asked Wang Yu with some heartache, "Your jade pendant is worth a lot of money, right?" Wang Yu said indifferently. The jade pendant was an item that all the Wang family members carried with them. Wang Yu had a high status in the Wang family, so the jade pendant he wore was worth a lot. How can that be? I have to get it back from them." When Mu Zixian heard that it was really worth a lot of money, she was immediately unhappy. "Forget it." Wang Yu pulled Mu Zixian back and said, "It's just a jade pendant. As long as I can be with you, I can give up anything." Mu Zixian smiled slightly. "You only know how to use flowery words. If I don't have a job, how can I buy New Year's goods without money?" Wang Yu chuckled and said, "Brother has it." "TSK, how much money do you have?" Is $1 million enough to keep you as a mistress? Really? Mu Zixin said in surprise. Wang Yu said, You can look at the card yourself. Mu Zixin exclaimed, Ayaya, professional gamers can actually earn so much. It's tempting. Then let's play together. I'll buy you a set of equipment later, Wang Yu said. What about now? Chapter 60. When Wang Yu and his wife returned home with a lot of things, it was almost dark. If not for the hawkers in the market rushing home, Mu Zixin would have to haggle for another half an hour. When they returned home, they saw Li Shui and Meng Meng wearing masks and carrying a broom. They were covered in plastic bags and newspapers. They were busy like painters. This gave Wang Yu and his wife a shock. Mu Zixin said in surprise, We were gone for a while, and you are already renovating the house? Li Shui walked over and took off her mask. Sister-in-law, we are cleaning. Cleaning? Is there a need to do this? Wang Yu looked around the living room. Although Mu Zixin was usually busy with work, she loved cleanliness. She always kept the house neat and tidy. Li Shui blushed. Wang Yu tilted his head and glanced at the girls' bedroom. All right, it was time to clean up. The 4 girls were quite beautiful and were usually quite nimble. He could not tell that they had such bold and unrestrained lifestyles, not to mention the takeout packaging all over the floor. The corner of the wall was filled with instant noodles. Student Molly was holding the wall with one hand and stepping on the trash that was already filled to the brim. It was almost the new year. If this continued, something bad would happen. Wang Yu had received a traditional education, so he was still a little superstitious. Looking at the 4 girls and then at his family, Wang Yu sighed. Girls who were not married were really different from married ones. It's time to clean up. Do you need help? Wang Yu said. Li Shui blushed. No, it's okay. It's not convenient for girls to have a room. Oh. Wang Yu nodded. He stuffed the groceries into the fridge and said with lingering fear, What a surprise, what a surprise! Mu Zixin pinched Wang Yu from behind and said, Professional players who don't go out for half a month are all like this. Without me, you would be worse off than the girls. Dear, you have worked hard, Wang Yu said, touched. When the girls finished cleaning up, Mu Zixin had already prepared dinner, dumplings, and a table full of dishes. Seeing the dishes on the table, the girls were extremely excited. As professional players, not only did they not clean the house, none of them knew how to cook. So, they usually ate takeout or instant noodles. Only when they came to Wang Yu's house could they occasionally improve their meals with the young couple. Everyone, let's eat. Mu Zixin placed the last basin of fish on the table and called out to the ladies. It's not easy for everyone to be away from home. You can't even go home on New Year's Eve. Let's have a reunion dinner here. Thank you, sister-in-law. The girls happily took their seat. Wang Yu asked in bewilderment, What time is it today? You're already offline. System maintenance, Li Shui said. Maintenance? Why are you protecting me again? How many days has it been under maintenance? Wang Yu was a little puzzled. Wang Yu had played the game for a long time and often hung out with the experts in Xuanzhen. He had gained a lot of knowledge. He knew that the general system maintenance was either an upgrade or a patch to fill in the gap. Rebirth was the leading game in the online gaming world, yet it was patched every other day. Wasn't this a joke? Mu Zixin smiled and said, This update is a mission for the Spring Festival event. Spring Festival event? Everyone was shocked. That's right, it's almost the Spring Festival, but there's no notice on the official website. Only after the update. Mu Zixin said. The girls nodded in understanding. Longting Company likes to play mysterious. By the way, sister-in-law, how did you know? Lord! All the women exclaimed in shock. And NBS. Mu Zixin said with a smile, You flatter me. I'm just a small customer service employee. My position is very low. As she spoke, she gestured with her thumb and index finger. He's also an existence that we can only dream of but not reach. The girl said. No matter how small a fly is, it's still meat. No matter how small the customer service is, it's still a god. After all, it's all part of the system. Sister-in-law, please share with us the strategy to explode the materials. Big sister's mixture materials can't be found in the market. Mixture. The materials for the mixture are all collected in the dungeon. Just pay attention when you're in the dungeon, Muzishin said. Hey, that's not against the rules, right? Wang Yu quickly reminded her. No. Our level is very low. What I know is already developed by the players, so the company has no restrictions on employees of our level. Otherwise, I can't even log into the game with my Longting employee ID, Muzishin said. Wang Yu nodded. Li Shui said gloomily, but there are too few people who can do the big dungeon. There are only a dozen people who are above level 15 in the entire server. The materials are too difficult to gather. Wang Yu said as he ate, we have 8 guilds. Everyone complained, your guilds are all inhumane. I wanted to introduce you to our guild, but with your attitude, forget it. Wang Yu curled his lips. Those otakus were not as good-tempered as him. Don't, brother Yu. Molly hurriedly said, we're just joking with you. The Quanjin sect was now very famous. Although it was negative, the experts in the sect were all real. With the protection of the Quanjin sect, the studio would naturally have an easier time doing business. Most importantly, it was said that the people of the Quanjin sect didn't lack money. Only by following successful people could one be more successful. Okay, I'll ask tomorrow, Wang Yu said. After the meal, the girls helped Mu Zixin clean up the dishes, and Wang Yu went back to the balcony alone to practice. After a round of punching and kicking, Wang Yu was surprised to find that his martial arts had improved. Wang Yu immediately thought that it had something to do with the game. Wang Yu's life was still very monotonous. Other than practicing martial arts, playing games, and browsing the forum, the most he did was hug his wife and sleep. He practiced martial arts every day, but there was no obvious improvement. Browsing the forum would only make him more decadent. As for using yin to nourish yang, that was even more nonsensical. The only reasonable explanation was that fighting in the game increased a martial artist's perception. At Wang Yu's level, he was already at the peak of his martial arts. It was difficult to improve even an inch. He did not expect that after playing games for a few days, he would unknowingly become more refined than before. After thinking about it carefully, Wang Yu gradually figured out the reason. Due to the limitations of attributes in the game, he was basically fighting in a weakened state. That way, his perception of martial arts would improve even faster. It was said that ancient Chinese martial artists had a cultivation method of dispersing and reassembling. Wang Yu had thought that it was just a scam, but now that he thought about it, there was some scientific reasoning behind it. Thinking about this, Wang Yu stroked the game helmet and could not help but sigh. Technology makes people improve. A small game has such an effect. Maybe in a few years, traditional martial artists like us will really disappear. At the same time, in a small alley near Moonlight Bay, under the dim moonlight, a bunch of hooligans with their arms covered in plaster were lying on the ground. A petite girl with slender eyes was strangling Brother Huey's neck. Her other hand was grabbing the jade pendant on Brother Huey's neck. She asked coldly, "Tell me, where did you get this jade pendant?" "It's mine." Brother Huey stuttered. Tears were about to flow out. Brother Huey was suffering. He led a group of brothers and was beaten up by Wang Yu. He had just come out of the hospital and was about to go home for the little new year. Then, he met such a fiend who beat him up without saying anything. Seeing the girl's skills, Brother Hui knew that she was also trained. Even if their arms were intact, they would not be a match for her, let alone now that their arms were all disabled. Meeting 2 monsters in one day, Brother Hui wanted to jump into the lake and commit suicide. The kitchen god at home had not even complained to the heavens. Could it be someone else's kitchen god who did it? Humph! The girl grabbed Brother Huey's disabled fingers and pulled them down, causing Brother Hui to howl. You think you're fit to be called Wang Yu with that cowardly look of yours? Is there anyone in this world who can use the bone dislocation hand to hurt him? Tell me. Otherwise, if he can separate tendons and dislocate bones, I can urge tendons and break bones for you. I'll tell you. Seeing that this girl might know Wang Yu and that she was even crueler than Wang Yu, Brother Hui hurriedly told the truth. This was given to me by a big guy. The big guy's wife dirted my clothes, so he beat us up without any explanation and gave me this as compensation. Wife? A cold light flashed in the girl's slender eyes. What's his wife's name? I heard from others that she's called Mu Zixin. Brother Hui thought for a while and said, Humph. The girl threw Brother Hui far away and shouted, A bunch of scum, get lost. Brother Hui and the others felt as if they had been granted amnesty. They scrambled out of the alley. After Brother Hui and the others left, the girl took out her phone and dialed a number. Chief Lu, I'm in Urel City. Help me investigate someone called Mu Zixin. Yes, I got it. Thank you, Chief Lu. I'll pay you a visit another day. Goodbye. Chapter 61. The next morning, after breakfast, the game maintenance was completed. Wang Yu opened the official website to look at the update. Indeed, as Mu Zixin said, there was a new Spring Festival mission. As for the details, he had to go to the game to accept the mission. The mission would start at 12 noon. Before the mission started, he could go to the dungeon first. Just as he was about to enter the game, there was a knock on the living room door. Coming. Just as Wang Yu was about to get up to open the door, Mu Zixin, who was washing the dishes in the kitchen, wiped her hands and ran out. When she opened the door, she saw a lady. The lady was holding a fruit basket in her hand. She was petite and well-proportioned. Her eyes were narrow and long, giving people the impression that she was smiling. Who are you looking for? Mu Zixin asked curiously when she saw the unfamiliar lady. The lady smiled and pointed to the opposite door. I'm not looking for anyone. I'm a new neighbor. Thank you for taking care of me in the future. As she said that, the lady handed over the fruit basket. This is just a small gift. Mu Zixin tilted her head and saw that the door was open. The lady seemed to have just come out. She felt relieved and took the fruit basket. It's nothing. A close neighbor is better than a distant relative. It's my duty to take care of you. Come in and have a seat, Anne. The lady nodded and followed Mu Zixin into the house. Please have a seat. I'll pour some tea for you. Hubby, there's a guest. Let's play later. Mu Zixin rushed into the bedroom while pouring tea. After the lady entered the house, she looked around and sat on the sofa. Is it just you and your husband living here? Mu Zixin said. The 2 bedrooms on the right are rented by 4 ladies. They belong to the gaming studio. Oh. The lady nodded. At this moment, Wang Yu came out of the bedroom. He looked at the lady blankly and asked softly, Who are you? The lady sized up Wang Yu and said with a smile, My name is Yang Na. You can call me Little Yang. Wang Yu nodded. I'm Wang Yu. Hello, Brother Wang, Yang Na replied. The 2 of them sat there and didn't speak anymore. It was very awkward. Well, I'll go get busy first. You guys chat. Seeing that Mu Zixin had returned, Wang Yu greeted the 2 of them and returned to his bedroom. Seeing Wang Yu leave in a hurry, Yang Na asked curiously, What does bro you do for a living? Sigh, I'm just busy. I'm just playing a game, Mu Zixin said. Rebirth. And Mu Zixin nodded. This game is quite popular. Sister-in-law Wang, do you play it too? Yang Na asked again. Mu Zixin smiled and said, I was planning to go in and take a look. Don't tell me you want to play too? I'm the same as you, Sister Wang. I just started playing yesterday. I'll bring you along to level. Yang Na laughed. Sure, but don't look at me like this. Actually, my skills aren't bad. As a game customer service, Mu Zixian was quite confident. Then you can carry me. My name is Qingshu. We can add each other as friends in the game. Alright. Mu Zixian smiled. It's getting late. I won't take up any more of your time. I'm still cooking on the stove. I'll come play again when I have time. Saying that, Yang Na stood up. Alright, come play often in the future, Mu Zixian said. After Yang Na left, Mu Zixian happily returned to the bedroom. She saw Wang Yu sitting on the bed with a gloomy expression, full of worry. What's wrong, husband? Are you not feeling well? Nothing. Did the lady leave? Wang Yu asked. And she's a pretty good person. Wang Yu glanced at the bedroom door and said, That lady is not an ordinary person. Don't interact with her in the future. Why? Her body is light and vigorous. Her breathing is even and long. Without more than 10 years of internal martial arts, it's impossible to reach her level. Wang Yu said. It can't be? She also knows martial arts? Mu Zixian was surprised. In Mu Zixian's impression, martial arts practitioners should be tall and mighty like the Wang family. Yang Na was short and thin. She didn't look like a martial arts practitioner at all. And I can't be wrong. Besides, her surname is Yang. I suspect. If it doesn't work, let's move. Wang Yu said as his face turned gloomier. Mu Zixian smiled and said, There are many people with the surname Yang. Look at how scared you are. We are living well here. If we move, what about the house? Although there are many people with the surname Yang, there are too few people with strong martial arts. They won't dare to do anything to me. I'm just afraid that she will deal with you. Wang Yu said. Mu Zixian said, Don't worry. Miss Yang is very kind. She's definitely not that kind of person. I've always had a good eye for people. Alright, it's best if you don't interact with her in the future, Wang Yu said. It wasn't easy to settle down. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Wang Yu didn't want to leave. I know. Mu Zixian patted Wang Yu's back and comforted him. I'll pay attention. AI. Wang Yu smiled bitterly and shook his head. He stroked Mu Zixian's head and said, Sister Xian, it's really hard for you to follow me. What hard? As long as I can be with you, I won't feel bitter. Mu Zixian said, Also, how many times have I told you not to call me Sister Xian? And wife? Wang Yu nodded and picked up the helmet. Let's play the game. I'll connect your equipment for you. And after entering the game changed drastically. There were lanterns and streamers everywhere. It was covered with a layer of eye-catching china red. In this Western fantasy game, there was a different flavor to it. When Wang Yu went online, he received a private message from the people of Chuanjin. Hurry, come to the guild encampment. We're waiting for you. Wang Yu replied to them one by one. He walked out of the tavern and went to the teleportation circle in the city. He was directly sent to the meeting hall of the guild encampment. The guild encampment was also bright red. There were even 2 firecrackers at the entrance. There were even Spring Festival couplets pasted on the entrance. Walking into the meeting hall, everyone leaned on the table and looked at Wang Yu at the entrance with a face full of eagerness. What's up? So urgent? Playing 8 people mahjong? Play my ass. We're waiting for you to come back so we can split the money. Hurry up and come over. Mingdu slammed the table and shouted. He threw a grenade behind Wang Yu. F***CK. Are you looking for death, oldly? Wang Yu was shocked and hurriedly dodged. He rolled up his sleeves and walked towards Mingdu. Seeing this, Mingdu quickly gave up his seat and said to Wang Yu, Nyogu, please sit. After Wang Yu sat down, the 7 of them looked at famous sword Daoshua eagerly. At the mention of splitting the money, Wang Yu remembered that he had bet 200 gold yesterday. Famous sword Daoshua looked at everyone for a long time and did not move. F***CK Daoshua, can you do it? Hurry up. Mingdu began to urge famous sword Daoshua again. Famous sword Daoshua chuckled. Let's see just how impatient you guys are. F***ck, famous sword Daoxue, you should change your name to Despicable Daoxue. Mingdu cursed. They're all pretty despicable. F***ck, Brother Chun. Mingdu gritted his teeth. Haha. Alright, I'll stop teasing you guys. Famous sword Daoxue had enough fun and took out a large pile of money from his bag. To place one's pride's eyes widened when he saw the pile of money on the table. F***ck, this is the first time I've seen so much money. It's a pity that only one is yours. Famous sword Daoxue smiled and took out a dagger. With a light flick, he tossed a gold coin to place one's pride. To place one's pride held the gold coin with a complicated expression. This is the first time I've won money. It's too memorable. I have to keep it. Gold coins changed numbers as soon as they entered his bag. He really did not know how this kid was going to keep it. Put it in his pocket? What if he lost it in a fight? Second bro, yours. Famous sword Daoxue picked another one and tossed it to Yin Lao Air beside him. Yin Lao Air's expression became even more complicated. If I had known, I would have bet a few more gold coins. To place one's pride comforted him. Even a small fly is meat. At least you won one. Yin Lao Air said, I understand that, but I just don't understand how a bastard like Oldly could win 100 gold. It's the Sing generation after all. 500 gold from Bao San, 500 from Wuji, 1,000 from Chun Xiang, and 1,000 from Dao Shui. There wasn't much money left on the table. Looking at the money on the table and then at Wang Yu, everyone was depressed. 20,000 gold. Everyone was still fighting for a single gold coin. This kid, Wang Yu, almost caused a financial crisis in one go. Haha, it's all mine. Under everyone's jealous gazes, Wang Yu reached out and took the money. Famous sword Daoxue took out another bag of money and said, That dark gold weapon has been sold for 240 gold. 30 gold for 8 people. When it was Wang Yu's turn, Wang Yu waved his hand generously. You can keep it for tea. A rich man with 20,000 gold was already the richest man in the game. He didn't care about the small amount. Nonsense, I didn't even want to give it to you. Famous sword Daoxue looked at the upstart Wang Yu with disdain and put the last 30 gold into his bag. Chun Xiang counted out 100 gold coins from his bag and passed it to Wang Yu, saying, The money for the 2 books from yesterday. Wang Yu smiled and lowered his head to Chun Xiang, saying, Keep this money. Just treat it as me giving the kids a red packet in advance. I really have to thank you for yesterday. Chun Xiang was confused. He didn't know what Wang Yu was thanking him for. He naturally didn't know that if he hadn't gone offline to accompany his wife and touched Wang Yu's heartstrings, Wang Yu wouldn't have gone to find Mu Zixian. If he had gone a little later, Mu Zixian might have suffered a loss. In Wang Yu's heart, Mu Zixian was much more important than money. After splitting the money, Wuji waved his hand and signaled for everyone to be quiet. He then said, The Spring Festival event will start in the afternoon. Shouldn't we do something now? Let's do a dungeon, Wang Yu suggested. He was the only one who hadn't done a dungeon before. Bao San said, We have 8 people. If we split into 2 teams, it'll be either 4 without 1 or 3 without 2. It won't be easy. What kind of lousy game is this? Can't 8 people do it together? Chapter 62. Elite difficulty. That's a good suggestion. It's quite challenging. Everyone agreed after hearing Wuji's suggestion. This was probably because of this group of experts. If it was any other team, they would think that this suggestion was overestimating themselves. The dungeons in Rebirth were split into 5 difficulty modes: Normal, Elite, Abyss, Nightmare, and Hell. The dungeon monsters were not as easy to deal with as the wild monsters. The monsters in the dungeons were all at the elite level and were much stronger than the wild monsters of the same level. Therefore, even if it was a normal dungeon, without a guide, it would take a few tries to clear it, let alone an elite dungeon. There was a huge difference between the holographic mode and the keyboard and mouse mode. In the holographic mode, the players would have to fight the monsters themselves. Not only did it test their reaction and skill control, but it also tested their psychological and combat qualities. It was easier for people who were good at fighting to get started. However, there weren't that many people who were good at fighting in the world. Therefore, most players would find it hard to adapt. After all, most people who liked to play games were otakus. They were good at piloting, but fighting was their natural weakness. This was also the reason why the Grandmaster of Combat didn't have an advantage. An inch longer, an inch stronger. For those without combat experience, they would only feel more confident if they had a weapon in their hands. They would feel more at ease when fighting monsters. To prevent losing players due to the difficulty of the game company lowered the stats of the wild monsters as much as possible to give the players some time to adapt. Even so, during the closed beta period, the experts in the game were being oppressed by the dungeon monsters. So, after the open beta, the game company decided to push the level 10 Scarlet Church dungeon to level 15. That way, it would be easier to clear. Based on the current situation, if they wanted to clear the elite dungeon, they would have to be around level 20 to have an 80% chance of success. Of course, for these level 10 players who dared to guard a guild encampment, challenging an elite dungeon was child's play. If they had enough manpower, they could even challenge a Hell Mode dungeon at level 15. Since the Scarlet Church was the first dungeon in Rebirth, the normal difficulty was set to be a 5-man dungeon. The elite difficulty was 5 to 10 people, and the abyss difficulty was at least 10 people. There were more and more players at level 15. When the 8 of them formed a team and arrived at the entrance of the Scarlet Church, there were already many teams there. When they saw Chuanjin's team of 8 walking over from afar, many people were puzzled. This is a 5-man dungeon. How are 8 people going to clear it? Don't tell me they're trying to clear the elite dungeon. Someone asked after some thought. Are you kidding me? Yesterday, my brother and the others went to the Scarlet Church. They almost got wiped in normal difficulty. Isn't elite difficulty just asking for death? Someone said disdainfully, Tisk, just because your brother can't do it doesn't mean others can't. Bullsh *T. My brother is a core member of the Blood Alliance. Their team is an elite team. Take a look at what guild these people belong to. Everyone looked towards the direction of the voice and saw 8 people wearing the yin-yang fish badges on their chests. Among them, the yin-yang fish on the chest of a tall and strong Grandmaster of Combat looked like it was alive, glowing brightly. Holy shit! Chuanjin! When everyone saw that it was the 8 people from Chuanjin, they no longer had any doubts. This was a group of people who even dared to guard the base of their guild. It was completely reasonable for them to clear the elite dungeon. The younger brother of the Blood Alliance core member said in disdain, Tisk Chuanjin, it's all fake. To be able to guard the base, they've become the biggest joke in Rebirth. The dungeon doesn't have any terrain for them to block the monsters. You can't say that. Tactics are also a part of one's strength. Tisk, in front of absolute strength, any tactics are useless. If you don't believe me, then just wait and see. We've already cleared the normal dungeon, so we have a basic understanding of the Scarlet Church. Later, tank, heal, and deal damage. Don't mess up the formation. Do you understand? Wuji said in the channel. Everyone said impatiently, We know. Wuji, you are talking nonsense. We aren't newbies. Sir, I haven't cleared this dungeon before. What should I do later? Wang Yu raised his hand and asked. Everyone. There was a newbie here, but this newbie was a little special. You. Wuji scratched his head and said, Do whatever you want. As long as you don't lure the monsters over to trap us, you can do whatever you want. Wuji couldn't make any arrangements for someone who was obviously stronger than normal people. Okay. Wang Yu nodded his head. Let's enter. A white light flashed and the 8 of them entered the Scarlet Church. System notification. Your team has opened the elite dungeon. Scarlet Church. Clear condition. Kill the fallen nun and Ariel. Failure condition. Team annihilation. After entering the Scarlet Church, the sky turned from day to night. The setting sun in the sky disappeared and was replaced by a blood-red full moon. The blood-red moonlight shone on this dark and gloomy cathedral, adding a bit of strangeness to it. In front of them was the courtyard of the cathedral. In the courtyard of the cathedral, there were 4 ash-gray skeletons. They were carrying knives and walking back and forth. In the corner of the wall there were 4 big and sturdy dogs. Chapter 63. Dark Demonic Hound LV-20. Elite 1000 Skills. Tear, Claw, Pounce, Dark Corrosion. Dark Demonic Hound was an agile monster with high attack and low defense. Even a LV-20 elite monster only had 10,000 HP. Without the full armor of the humanoid monsters, these monsters couldn't take Wang Yu's punches and kicks. Side kick, collapsing fist, choke. After a series of attacks, the Dark Demonic Hound was on the verge of death. Wang Yu followed up with a chi wave, turning it into a corpse. Wuji and the others were dumbfounded. Damn, we're done for. Mingdu pointed at Wuji and scolded, "It's all your fault. You let him do whatever he wanted. Now, Gasol in a normal dungeon is hard enough. Elite dungeons, notice. You have been muted by team leader Wuji." F***CK. Mingdu was gloomy. What's wrong? Seeing his teammates' expressions, Wang Yu didn't understand. Only Wang Yu hadn't done this dungeon before, so he didn't know why they had to hide from the Dark Demonic Hound. Spring said, "Awesome. Next time, use your brain before you fight or ask us first. You'll wipe out the whole team if you just randomly start." What's going on? Wang Yu was confused. Weren't monsters supposed to be destroyed? Killing him would still deduct experience, right? Because the first boss isn't easy to fight. It's a waste of time. Three Bao explained to Wang Yu why they didn't fight Gasol. Wang Yu said thoughtfully, "Oh, I see. You mean you guys aren't as good as that dog?" You guys. Everyone felt their pride being trampled on again. Even though it was true that they weren't as good as a dog, it didn't sound right. It's not that we're not as good, we're just too lazy to fight. Even if we win, we'll lose face, right? Wuji was thick-skinned and quibbled. Everyone agreed, yes. Wuji is right. If a dog bites you, can you bite back at it? It seemed that none of them wanted to have a reputation of being inferior to a dog. Haha. Wang Yu laughed and said, "Are you stupid? This is a game. Why are you so serious? Even if it's a dog, it's at least a boss. It'll drop good stuff." Everyone wanted to cry but had no tears. "Damn it, just be serious first." Wuji said, All right. Since the monsters have been released, let's fight. Iron Ox, you have to pull the aggro of the boss. Don't let it attack us." "Alright, got it." Wang Yu shook his wrist and said confidently. As a martial artist, Wang Yu's greatest hobby was to challenge powerful creatures. With the 8 of them working together, the remaining 4 demon hounds were quickly killed. After the last dark demonic hound died, it turned into a black aura along with the other 3 dark demonic hounds' corpses and floated into the sky. Then, a dark aura surged from all directions, slowly forming a huge monster. The monster was on all fours and was almost 2 meters tall. It had huge fangs, fiery eyes, and a snake-like tail. It was impossible to tell that it was a dog. Hellhound Gasol, LV-25 5000 Skills. Bite, Claw, Pounce, Dark Corrosion, Bloodlust. Oh, there's actually a dog that looks like this. What breed is it? Wang Yu was shocked. It's probably skewered. Its head is like a wolf, its body is like a Tibetan Mastiff, and its claws are like a bulldog. To place one's pride said professionally. An expert. Wang Yu was even more shocked to be able to recognize a skewered dog like this. To place one's pride said proudly. "I have a lot of dogs at home." Wuji interrupted the 2 of them teasing the Grandmaster of Combat and said, Now is not the time to discuss the dog's breed. Iron Ox, do you have the confidence to hold it down? I'll give it a try. Wang Yu stretched his arms and legs and rushed forward. To be honest, this was the first time Wang Yu had seen such a big dog, and he was a little uncertain. But the bigger the dog, the more openings there were. Wang Yu understood this principle, and holding it down shouldn't be a problem. Roar! When Wang Yu rushed in front of Gasol, the dog finally finished forming and roared, "It's you, Lowly!" Bang! 1173 Before Gasol could finish his line, Wang Yu raised his leg and kicked Gasol's chin. This kick caused Gasol's head to tilt back, and he almost bit his tongue off. Ouch, sorry, I didn't know you could talk, Wang Yu said apologetically. Wang Yu was a martial arts practitioner, and the biggest taboo in a duel was a sneak attack. The two of them hadn't even exchanged any pleasantries, and Wang Yu had already kicked the other party. This was immoral, even if the other party was a dog. Seeing that it could talk, Wang Yu couldn't help but treat it as an opponent. Awoo! Gasol didn't have as many rules as Wang Yu. His lines were forcibly interrupted, so he simply stopped speaking and swung his huge paw at Wang Yu's head. F***ck. Wang Yu was shocked by Gasol's speed. Gasol was an agility-type instance dungeon boss, and his speed wasn't any slower than a drugged Howard. That was why even though Wang Yu could see the trajectory of Gasol's claws, it would be extremely difficult for him to dodge. Left with no other choice, he could only deflect the force with a skillful block. Bang! The difference in strength between the two was too great. Even if Wang Yu used a block technique, he couldn't take this beast head-on. He was immediately sent flying by Gasol. Gasol's grab was a system skill, and it had a stun effect. In the air, Wang Yu couldn't find his balance, and could only let himself fall to the ground. He flipped backwards, stood up, and looked at his HP. Gasol's attack had taken away 60% of his HP. Everyone applauded, as expected of an expert. Even a lazy donkey can roll so easily. They weren't mocking him. It was a full simulation, after all. A normal person rolling naturally wouldn't be as elegant as a professional like Wang Yu. Stop messing around. This monster is so fierce. I don't think even OL2 can handle it, Wang Yu said seriously. Yin Lao Air was a shield warrior to begin with, and he had a full set of physical defense, which was 130. Wang Yu's physical defense wasn't low either, at 110. Wang Yu had lost 60% of his HP when he deflected the force. If Yin Lao Air used shield strike to block, he probably wouldn't be able to take more than a few hits. Even though Gasol was definitely inferior to gold-level Erdis, in terms of stats, Gasol was an agility stat. Wang Yu hated bosses with agility the most right now. What's wrong, Iron Ox? Even you can't handle it? Everyone cried out. Wang Yu's strength was obvious to all. It shouldn't be hard for him to take on all 7 of them. If he said that this monster was fierce, then wouldn't this dungeon be a party wipe? Wang Yu cracked his knuckles as he stared at Gasol. How can a man say he can't handle it? While everyone was talking, Gasol attacked again. He opened his mouth, and a cloud of black smoke swirled over. Wuji yelled, "This is darkness corrosion, a skill that slows everything by 80%. Dodge it." Everyone had cleared this dungeon before, so they weren't unfamiliar with this skill. When Gasol opened his mouth, they dodged the area covered. Only Wang Yu didn't know what was going on. When he heard Wuji's warning, the black smoke was already within reach. Wang Yu hurriedly sent a chi wave towards the ground, and used the recoil to jump to the side with his specter. Who knew that Gasol's aggro had already locked onto Wang Yu, and he pounced in the direction where Wang Yu had landed. F***ck. Wang Yu was shocked. She stomped her feet a few times and stepped on the wall at the side. She turned around and did a backflip to jump back. She landed in the dark area without any deviation. Save him. Seeing this, Wuji immediately gave the order. Spring Soar waved his hand, and 4 imps stood in front of Wang Yu. At the same time, he threw a distortion at Gasal's feet. A lightning spear formed on Mingdu's magic staff, and he threw it at Gasal's face. Wuji also threw a recovery spell at Wang Yu's head. Chapter 64. P.S. Here's today's update, and at the same time, pull some votes for Qidian's 515 Fan Festival. Everyone has 8 votes, and the votes will give you some coins. Gasal's magic immunity was 30%, and control immunity was 80%. Even though Mingdu and Chun Xiang were strong, they could only stun Gasal for a bit. After a while, Gasal roared and pounced in Wang Yu's direction. "It's over." Chun Xiang's expression changed, and he commanded his imps to charge forward without a care for their lives. Gasal's attack was so high that even a shield warrior like Yin Lao Tu might not be able to handle it. Spring Source imps weren't a match for him at all, and Gasal killed them as soon as he landed on the ground. Everyone saw that Wang Yu was about to be bitten to death by Gasal, but Wang Yu bent over, rolled forward, and flipped under Gasal's stomach. He raised his hand and punched. This was where the game didn't make sense. After being hit by darkness corrosion, one's movement speed would decrease, but rolling wouldn't. Neither would one's attack speed. Gasal's attack missed. Wang Yu was nowhere to be seen, and he was looking around stupidly when he felt an attack under his stomach. "Oh woo!" Angered, Gasal turned around and made a claw attack. Wang Yu flipped backwards and flipped under Gasal again, aiming for his soft abdomen. With a twist of her waist, she rose into the air, kicking Gasal's abdomen viciously with both her legs. Gasal's eyes widened. 1562 Wang Yu was playing manual mode. When he kicked Gasal's stomach, he used the side kick skill, which lifted both of Gasal's hind legs into the air. Wang Yu's set of punches wasn't just for show. It was called the lying ground punch, which focused on rolling, falling, kicking, and crashing. Don't be fooled by the tacky name, but it was a martial art that gathered all of its technique. In ancient armies, infantry were at a great disadvantage against cavalry, so this set of martial arts was born. Relying on agility to attack the horse's stomach and avoid trampling, even though it couldn't be said that infantry could defy the heavens and kill cavalry, but it could ensure that casualties were kept to a minimum. Over time, the lying ground punch became one of the ancient Chinese boxing techniques that had been passed down to this day. "Oh woo!" Gasal roared angrily. His eyes turned red, and he activated bloodlust, extending his mouth to bite. Wang Yu flipped back again unhurriedly until he was below Gasal's neck. With his arms and left leg on the ground, he suddenly raised his right leg and did a backdrop vertical kick onto Gasal's soft jaw. Gasal's lower jaw was a vital point, and now it was lowering its head to bite down at an extremely fast speed. Wang Yu met it head-on. Everyone knew that there was a type of force known as artificial force, so Gasal received a lot of damage this way. 2173 A huge damage value floated above Gasal's head. F***CK. Is this guy even human? Seeing this scene, the people who were worried about Wang Yu's life and death were all stunned. Although Wang Yu had once challenged Erdus alone, that was completely different from this time. Erdus was a strength-type boss. His moves were slow, and he only had 3 axes. As long as you could see the start of his skills, you could dodge them. Even if you couldn't kill Erdus, you could at least hold him off for a while. This hellhound was different. Not only was it fast, it also had a disgusting deceleration skill. After seeing Wang Yu get hit by darkness corrosion, he had thought that the kid was dead for sure. Who knew that he would still be so energetic even after being decelerated by 80%? Uncle Nyo is fighting the boss over there. It's not good for us to watch from here. To place one's pride, seeing how well Wang Yu was playing as a fighter, felt his blood boil, and was eager to give it a try. Yin Lao Er frowned and said, "If we just go up like this, won't we shift aggro?" As a shield bearer, Yin Lao Er was a class that drew aggro the moment he attacked. Usually, What Yin Lao Er was most afraid of was boss hitting someone else, but now he was afraid that boss would hit himself. He felt rather conflicted. Wuji said, "Don't worry. Iron Ox's attack is so high there won't be OT. Let's deal damage freely." As he spoke, Wuji took the lead and threw out a holy light orb. Holy light orbs were effective against dark creatures, so priests could also deal damage in this map. This was an instance dungeon that could let the healers feel proud and elated. Everyone received the order, and all sorts of skills were thrown at Gasol with all their might. Wuji was right. The one who dealt the highest damage to Gasol was Mingjian Daoshuo. His set of skills only dealt less than 800 damage to Gasol, which was a far cry from Wang Yu's attack, which dealt over 1,000 damage. Wang Yu rolled to the east and rolled to the west, pulling the boss steadily. Everyone dealt damage freely until Gasol was dead. Gasol didn't even look at them. "Haha, it's over so easily. Yeah, I haven't even used my potions and mixtures yet. It's all thanks to Ox God. If it were me, I wouldn't have been able to pull it steadily." Seeing that they had killed Gasol with almost 0 damage, everyone was still in disbelief. Joy hung on their faces, and they had completely forgotten the humiliation of being ignored by a dog. Wang Yu crawled up from the ground and stretched. He kicked Gasol on the ground and asked, Why didn't he drop any equipment? Is there a quest?" Wang Yu had never fought a instance dungeon before, so he didn't know about instance dungeon bosses. He thought that he had encountered a storyline boss like Howard. Bao San explained, "The corpse of a instance dungeon boss doesn't disappear after it dies. Players have to loot it themselves. What they loot is completely up to luck." "Is that so? Interesting." Hearing this, Wang Yu crouched down and looted Gasol's corpse. Everyone was shocked. "Iron Ox, can you do it? If your luck isn't good, don't loot randomly." Wang Yu's hands were so fast that he had already looted the corpse while everyone was shouting. Seeing this, everyone was helpless and could only pray. Since ancient times, newbies have good luck. At this moment, Wang Yu's first equipment appeared. Hell's Fang, crossbow, bronze, attack, 25-37 magic, 0 to 56 agility bind, 10% chance of causing 60% speed reduction to the enemy. Class requirement, archer level requirement, 15-inch. Everyone was speechless. Apart from archers and knights, the 8 of them didn't lack anything, but they had only looted a crossbow. What luck! "Uncle Nyo, can you do it? If you keep this up, I'm going to flip out." To place one's pride shouted. "Don't be so long-winded." After looting such trash, Wang Yu had lost face. He turned around and glared at To place one's pride, and reached out to loot again. After a while, Wang Yu pulled out another spear. Everyone's hearts trembled, and they opened the spear's attributes. Hell's Spear, bronze, attack, 12-50 magic, 12 to 25 7 vitality 6 strength darkness. When attacking, deal 10 points of darkness damage to the enemy. Class requirement, punishment knight level requirement, 15-inch F***CK. Everyone was immediately indignant. Famous Sword Daoshua said, "Iron Ox, can your luck be this bad? Do you see any archers or knights in our party? You want to be a professional player after looting something like this?" Wang Yu glared at Famous Sword Daoshua again. "I'm rich now." Everyone was in tears. This guy had 20,000 gold on his waist, so he didn't lack money. But even if he didn't lack money, he couldn't be so unscrupulous. "There's still one last time. Loot it. After today, I'll deprive you of the right to loot the boss for life." Everyone helplessly shook their heads and said in despair. "Sigh." Wang Yu also sighed. He rubbed his hands and reached over again. After a few fumbles, he took out a long rod. "Huh? What the F***CK is this?" Seeing Wang Yu take out a strange object, everyone was stunned by this big black hand. It was fine if he pulled out 2 weapons used by other classes, at least they were within the scope of the system. Even if he couldn't use them, he could still sell them for money. But what the hell was a staff? Among the 7 classes, was there anyone who used a staff? When Wang Yu saw the staff, he was slightly surprised, and happily sent the attributes to the channel. Warrior's Persistence, Staff, Silver, Attack, 30-40 Magic, 20 to 307 Strength, 5 Agility Will, 4 every 10% health lost, physical and magic defense increases by 5%. Cooldown, 15. Class Requirement, Martial Artist Level Requirement, 1 inch F***CK. It dropped silver. And it's a hidden class equipment. To place one's pride shouted. Scarlet Church was a LV-15 dungeon, and most of the equipment it dropped was steel and bronze. Even if it was a first kill reward, it should have been dropped by an aerial. Why did it drop silver, and it was a martial artist equipment? Wasn't there a huge difference between a dog and a martial artist? This bull's hand is really... The others had mixed feelings. They had been unlucky for a long time, and it was really for their own use. It was a classic style of harming others to benefit oneself. The main attributes of the staff were not bad, and the 2 additional attributes were simply godly for tanking. It was such a good weapon, but it became a martial artist's exclusive use. It made people sigh. TSK, how much can this staff be worth? Wang Yu held the staff and played with it. The weight was suitable, and it was quite smooth. He then asked Famous Sword Dojo. Famous Sword Dojo said, although this staff is silver, it can't be sold for much. However, it's different in your hands. The market price is around 10 gold. This rod is only worth 10,000? Wang Yu was a little surprised. He remembered that he had earned a total of 200,000 from selling the 2 daggers to Mingjian Daoshu. Little did they know how popular the rogue profession was. Out of 10 people in Rebirth, at least 3 were rogues. The Grandmaster of Combat, which was a sewer profession, was not even a fraction of the rogue profession. The martial artist was even more unique. The 10,000 bucks was only because it was a rare commodity, and it was to make the best use of it. The market price of a thief's silver dagger was more than 50 gold. For example, that stealth-enhanced dagger was the best of the best, which was why it was sold for a high price of 150,000. This staff may be a treasure to you, but to others, it's trash. It can be sold for 10 gold, but it's mainly a collector's item. Famous Sword Dojo said. Sigh, what a waste. Wang Yu shook his head and put away the staff. He said to the others, let me loot the next boss again. I'll loot a martial artist's hat, and we'll have a complete set. Everyone cursed, get lost. Shameless. Chapter 65. P.S. Here's today's update, and at the same time, pull up votes for Chidian 515 Fan Festival. Everyone has 8 votes, and there will be coins for voting. I'm begging for everyone's support. After looting the boss, everyone rested for a while. Just as they were about to enter the hall, they saw Chun Xiang squatting in the corner. He took out a small shovel and shoveled a few stalks of grass in the corner, then put them into his bag. Wang Yu chuckled and pretended to be knowledgeable. Brother Chun, you're a pharmacist. Are you digging these things to make a mixture? Mu Zixian said yesterday that there were herbs used to make a mixture in the instance dungeon, and Wang Yu learned and applied them. Mixture? Chun Xiang was slightly stunned. No. Then why are you digging these things? Wang Yu asked curiously. To make poison. Chun Xiang said, is there anyone who can make a mixture now? Oh. Wang Yu nodded in understanding, then said thoughtfully, oh yeah, I have a few friends who want to join us. Friends? Masters? Wuji asked Wang Yu. Everyone in Xuanzhen was a master, so if there were people like Wang Yu who knew Kung Fu, he didn't mind how many came. Wang Yu shook his head and said, no. The skills of the girls could only be said to be not too bad, and there was still a distance between them and masters. Wuji said awkwardly, Nyogu, it's not that I don't want to accept them. You know, with our Chuanjian style, if you don't have some skills, it's easy to run away. Okay, then I'll tell them. Wang Yu seemed to have expected this result, so he wasn't surprised. Them? Girls? Wuji's eyes widened. Yes. Actually, the number of people in Chuanjian is too small. It's fine to recruit a few more people, Wuji said. Can you not F***CK? Wang Yu and the others were speechless. Bao San said, since she's Nyoji's friend, she must have something special. She knows how to make mixtures. Wang Yu nodded. Potions? Everyone exclaimed. Is there such a subclass? Wang Yu said, hidden profession, alchemist. I helped her clear the quest yesterday. Now, not only can she make potions, she can also make intermediate health potions. Holy shit! You can even make intermediate health potions now? These people were all experts and naturally knew the value of intermediate health potions in the early stages of the game. Hence, they hurriedly said, bring him in, bring him in. Our Chuanjian lacks such talents. Seeing that everyone had agreed, Wang Yu said with some surprise, yes, let's finish the dungeon. The second stage of the Scarlet Church was the Scarlet Hall. The monsters in the hall were gargoyles and dark bats. Gargoyle, LV 22, Elite 2000 skills. Stone skin protection, Flight dark bat, LV 22, Elite 5000 skills. Flight, lifesteal. Both of these monsters could fly. The former had extremely high defense and stone skin protection, which was quite disgusting. The latter was extremely fast and could always lifesteal, which was quite annoying. Luckily, there weren't many of these monsters. After Wang Yu and the others cleared the monsters, they came to the second boss, the Fallen Priest. The Fallen Priest Dark David, LV 27, boss 50,000 skills. Summon, Dark Origin, Rebirth. This Dark David was a pure dark spell-type profession. Apart from summoning imps, he could also heal. When a priest became a dark warlock, their healing skills would become Dark Origin. However, they could only heal themselves. His attack power wasn't that great. The only difference between this and the normal dungeons was that in the Elite Dungeon, Dark David would use control skills and debuff spells one after another. It was like an enhanced version of Spring Soar. It was so disgusting that everyone cursed. Luckily, this guy was a cloth-armored humanoid monster. He didn't have high defense or vitality. After the 8 of them killed him twice, the second boss was considered to have cleared the dungeon. This time, the person who looted the corpse was famous Sword Daoshua, who had always been quite lucky. Dark David generously gave them a Dark Warlock's rare skill book, Vitality Enhancement. This was a buff spell for Dark Warlock's imps. In the entire server, only Chun Xiang had the skill to summon imp. Without a doubt, this was also an exclusive skill book. After Chun Xiang received the skill book, he grinned from ear to ear. This was a skill book that Chun Xiang had coveted for a long time. He didn't expect it to drop in one go, as expected of a first clear. Seeing that the Dark Warlock type Dark David had dropped a rare skill book, Mingdu's eyes turned red. He gripped his staff in excitement. The next boss, Anariel, was a mage-type monster. A first clear would definitely drop a mage-type item. After killing his way into the back hall and destroying all the zombie puppets in the back hall, a ball of flames roared as it drilled out of the ground. You damned fools, why did you disturb Queen Andariel's peace? The flames dissipated, revealing Andariel's figure. Her hair was a mess, and her expression was ferocious. Anariel LV 30, Boss 100000 skills. Hellfire, Fire Arrow Frenzy, Queen of Hellform. As a nun chosen by the darkness at the prime of her life, Anariel was quite pretty. It was just that her clothes were a little weird. Rather than clothes, it would be better to say that it was her style, because other than a mosaic at the 3 points, this woman was basically naked. No wonder that brat, Jiao, had almost wiped them out. The visual effect was too impactful for a kid. Seeing Andariel's style, Wang Yu was dumbfounded. No way, isn't this a little inappropriate for kids? A little, but I like it. Wuji rubbed his chin and said lecherously. The others nodded in agreement. Especially to place one's pride, his nose was about to bleed. How useless! Wang Yu looked at the group of perverts with disdain. Receive the wrath of the Queen of Darkness. While they were chatting, Anariel had already finished reciting her lines. With a wave of her hands, flames covered the sky as they shot towards them. Yin Lao Er took the lead, raising his shield to block the flames. Wuji followed up with a recovery spell, maintaining Yin Lao Er's health at 80%. The sky full of fire arrows lasted for a full 10 seconds, forcing everyone back. Anariel had no intention of stopping. Yin Lao Er was shocked. This is a little fierce. In a normal dungeon, 20 fire arrow frenzy would be enough. She must have shot 40 now. Nonsense. Elite dungeons are naturally fiercer than normal dungeons. Don't worry, this is an elite dungeon. She can only shoot 50 at most, Wuji said. As soon as Wuji finished speaking, Andariel's fire arrows stopped. Before they could catch their breath, they felt the ground heat up. Half of the back hall had turned into a sea of fire. What the F***ck? Yin Lao Er's shield couldn't defend against attacks from the ground. He cursed, raised his shield, and used charge to escape the sea of fire. The others followed suit. Snow used quickness, and to place one's pride used collapsing fist. Chun Xiang was the most confident. Not only was distortion a powerful crowd control skill, it was also a magic immunity skill. There was no fire within the dark barrier. He used distortion to block the damage and walked out. Mingdu and Wuji, who didn't have movement skills, were in trouble. This was an area of effects skill. The two screamed in pain. Fortunately, Wang Yu jumped behind Wuji and kicked him away. He also used Cloud Grasp to fish out Mingdu. Otherwise, the two would have been burned to death. Damn it! Go to hell and receive endless torture. Seeing that everyone had escaped from the fiery area, Anariel let out a strange cry and once again shot a barrage of flame arrows at them. Wuji shouted as he healed everyone back to full health. Damn, these two skills have a long duration and short cooldown. If this goes on, we'll be burned to death sooner or later. If only we could interrupt her spellcasting. Interrupt her casting? Wang Yu's eyes lit up. That's easy. Chapter 66. P.S. Here's today's update, and at the same time, get some votes for Qidian's 515 Fan Festival. Everyone gets 8 votes and you'll get some coins for voting. Easy? Are you kidding me? Wuji said. Anariel is surrounded by flames. Melee classes won't be able to get close. Andariel's Inferno has a burn effect. No matter how high your magic resist is, you won't be able to withstand the flames. Wuji had been standing in the Inferno for 2 seconds. He had already calculated that Andariel's flames could ignore magic resists burn damage. The first second would deal 40 damage, the second would deal 80 damage, the third would deal 120 damage, and so on. Wang Yu was only a level 17 Grandmaster of Combat with less than 800 health points. If he couldn't finish off Anariel in 5 seconds, he would burn himself to death. Was it possible to finish off a dungeon boss in 5 seconds? Even if there was a possibility, the system would still delete Wang Yu, because she was definitely cheating. As they spoke, Andariel's fire arrows became sparser. Everyone knew that this shameless old woman was going to set fire again. Thinking back to the oldest game called Legend of Mir, they had once roasted pigs in the graveyard. Now that they were being roasted as pigs by a monster, it felt weird. Wang Yu smiled and took out his staff. To place one's pride, follow me. Me? To place one's pride was stunned. He couldn't believe that Wang Yu would ask him to help. Would he be able to help? Okay, come after the fire is extinguished. With that, Wang Yu held the staff in his hand and took 2 steps forward, dodging Andariel's last few fire arrows. He stabbed the staff into the fire and with a push, he flew through the air. After Anariel finished firing, she waved her hand to set up another fire wall, but Wang Yu's legs were already in front of her. Bang! 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 Wang Yu kicked out 3 times in the air, landing on Andariel's face, chin, and chest. As expected of the big boss of 36E, his feet felt very soft. Andariel staggered backward from the kick, stars appearing above her head. When Wang Yu's second kick landed, he used the side kick skill to create an effect. After all, Andariel was a boss. The 25-second stun time for monsters was less than a second for her. She recovered in less than a second. However, 1 second was more than enough for Wang Yu. Not only did it interrupt Andariel's skill, but it also allowed Wang Yu's left hand to grab Andariel's neck. Andariel's skin was so smooth. But that wasn't the point. The point was that choke could interrupt spellcasting. In theory, as long as Wang Yu didn't let go, the effect would continue. The moment Wang Yu grabbed Andariel's neck, the fire on the ground slowly dissipated. When Wang Yu flew to Andariel's side, the others understood Wang Yu's intention. As soon as the fire was extinguished, they surrounded Andariel and threw all sorts of skills at her. Wang Yu's other hand didn't stay idle either. Collapsing fist and chi wave greeted Andariel's face. The Chuanjian players were amazed. Only God knew why this guy was so perverted. Andariel was a beautiful girl, but instead of hitting her breasts, he hit her face. Andariel struggled with all her might, but she was a woman and a mage. Without her skills, she was like a tiger without claws and teeth. She was at the mercy of others. To place one's pride, connect. Choke was a continuous mana consumption skill. Wang Yu usually didn't bring any battle recovery potions with him. Even if his equipment had a mana regeneration passive, it couldn't last long. Wang Yu raised his leg and kicked Andariel again, stunning her again. To place one's pride, and Wang Yu switched positions and continued with choke. Andariel's close combat ability was terrible. Wang Yu and to place one's pride took turns to control her. After Wang Yu's side kick came off cooldown, he would stun her from time to time. The rest of Chuanjian was having a good time dealing damage. Dungeons were a test of intelligence. Not only did they have to calculate the boss's HP and avoid the boss's skills, they also had to carefully control their damage output to avoid an OT. High-level dungeons had a low tolerance for mistakes. A single mistake could lead to a team wipe. However, it was different with Wang Yu. He was a natural at pulling aggro. No matter how strong the boss was, he wasn't afraid. Even though he didn't have a taunt skill, his high damage and powerful crowd control allowed him to toy with the boss in the palm of his hand. With Wang Yu, there was no need to worry about calculating HP, dodging skills, or controlling firepower. All he had to do was deal damage freely. Don't worry about aggro, deal as much damage as you want. This was the dream of many tanks to show off, but it was accomplished by a short-handed fighter. As a shield warrior, Yin Lao Er wanted to cry. Yin Lao Er glared at Andariel. Whenever she reacted, he would immediately stun her with a shield bash to vent his frustration. Andariel was like a dead dog under the barrage of 2 stun skills and 2 interrupt skills. Her HP continued to drop as she was abused by the team. When Andariel's HP reached 30%, a golden light flashed across her body. She activated super armor. To place one's pride was sent flying. Wang Yu raised his hand to grab her with a knee strike. He wanted to interrupt Andariel's super armor, but Andariel was even more shameless. Just as Wang Yu was about to grab her, a green barrier suddenly rose around her. Poof! Wang Yu's grab missed. Andariel's body began to twitch and warp inside the barrier. Wuji quickly said, "It's about to transform. Everyone dodge." The others received the order and retreated one after another. Only Wang Yu was still stubbornly smashing the protective shield with a stick. Wang Yu, who had no experience in the game, naturally did not know that there was a state called invincibility. No matter how strong he was, he could not be stronger than the system. Chun Xiang shouted, "Stop smashing. Invincibility barrier, it can't be broken." That doesn't make sense. Wang Yu was depressed. Everyone was speechless. You're trying to reason with the system? Have you ever seen a wild skeleton dog drop money and weapons when it dies? That's true. Wang Yu thought about it. It made sense. He threw an aerial down and turned to leave with his staff. Right at this time, a tremendous suction force firmly sucked Wang Yu in. Shameless human, you dare to run after hurting the great queen of hell? Face my wrath from hell. At the same time, a spider web descended from the sky. In a moment of desperation, Wang Yu activated Spectre and hit the ground with a chi wave. Using the recoil and the suction force, he dodged the spider web and flew back toward an aerial as if he had teleported. Seeing this, everyone cried out, "Iron Ox behind you! F***CK." Hearing that, Wang Yu turned around abruptly. She was so shocked that she cursed. Was this still an aerial? How did the beautiful naked girl become so ugly? And Ariel's long hair was gone, replaced by a head full of spikes. Her delicate face was covered in patterns, and she had 3 pairs of eyes. 2 huge teeth protruded from her cheeks. It was quite a scary sight. Even worse, a pair of arms and legs grew out of Andariel's torso. She was lying on the ground, grinning and staring at Wang Yu with 8 eyes. It was hard to tell if she was crying or laughing, but there was no kindness on her face. Chapter 67. P.S. Here's today's update, and at the same time, get some votes for Chidian's 515 Fan Festival. Everyone gets 8 votes and you'll get coins for voting. Please support me. Queen of Hell and Ariel, LV30. Boss 100000 skills. Poison Nova, Web Bind, Queen's Command. Wang Yu's guts were relatively big, but no matter how big a person's guts were, there was still a limit. Even if Wang Yu was a martial artist, seeing such a large monster for the first time, he could not help but be stunned. While Wang Yu was still in a daze, an Ariel swung her claws down. Dodge, the spider form and Ariel's attack is poisonous. Chun Xiang stepped forward and summoned Imp in front of Wang Yu. At the same time, he used Twist to freeze an Ariel who was attacking Wang Yu with her green claws. Wang Yu came back to his senses and rolled out of Andariel's attack range. After transforming into Queen of Hell, an Ariel was no longer a humanoid monster. As a bestial boss, she didn't care about Chun Xiang's control at all. Whoosh! There was a soft sound. A circle of green light shot out from Andariel's body, and Chun Xiang's imp was instantly destroyed. Toxic Nova casts a toxic aura that deals continuous damage to surrounding enemy unit. Other than Wang Yu, everyone else had cleared this dungeon before. As beta players, they had even cleared the Scarlet Church in Abyss mode. Naturally, they recognized Andariel's signature skill. It wasn't just an AoE skill, it was also a skill that dealt continuous damage to the entire screen. Find cover. Seeing the green light, Wuji instinctively gave the order. Everyone received the order and quickly hid behind a pillar in the back hall. Wang Yu was standing not far from an Ariel. There was nothing in front of him or behind him, and there was nothing to block the poison nova. Wang Yu didn't panic. Just as the poison aura was about to hit him, he placed his staff on the ground, grabbed the top of the staff with both hands, and jumped up. He stood on top of the staff like a monkey, allowing the poison aura to float below him. What the heck, you can even do that? Seeing Wang Yu erect a dragonfly, the others suddenly felt that they couldn't figure out Wang Yu's tricks anymore. All the rules in the game seemed to have no effect on this person. No one would believe this. How could he avoid Toxic Nova without finding cover? What nonsense was that? Wang Yu, who had once again changed the player's views on the game, didn't stop after dodging the Toxic Nova. Instead, he jumped down from the sky, pulled back his rod with both hands, and smashed it hard on Andariel's head. When the others saw Wang Yu's action, they cheered for Wang Yu in their hearts. Take this, old cow, Duong. 327 Andariel's head was covered in spiky armor. Wang Yu's strike only dealt 300 damage, and a -33 damage number appeared above her head. Wang Yu was puzzled again and sent a question mark in the chat. Wuji said, my ass, this is called damage reflection. Hurry up and lure her over to us. Okay. Wang Yu replied. Holding his rod with one hand, he fiercely stabbed Andariel's chest a few times. Andariel was instantly enraged, and with a roar, she pounced over. Ha! Wang Yu didn't retreat but instead advanced. Grabbing the rod with both hands, he extended it forward until it reached Andariel's body. Then with a roar, he used the momentum of Andariel's charge and used Hidden Dragon emerges from the water to fling Andariel into the middle of the hall. The other 7 players were behind the pillar in the middle of the hall. Andariel landed on the ground, and with a roar, everyone's bodies were involuntarily sucked towards her. They all cursed, Motherf ***, I told you to lure her over, not throw her over. Even though they said that, their hands were not idle. As they dodged Andariel's 4 ugly claws, they threw out their strongest skills. This wave of attacks took away almost 3,000 HP from Andariel. Wang Yu also flew up and landed on Andariel's back, smashing down again and again with his rod. Fighters didn't have any rod skills, and pugilists could only use long rods. If they used a rod to activate a chi wave, it would be too much of a joke. That was why Wang Yu's attacks were all normal attacks. Even a normal attack could be used to great effect in the hands of Wang Yu in manual mode. This was because when using a normal attack with a rod at 120% skill completion, there would be an armor pierce effect. The armor on Andariel's back, damage reflection would occur when hit on the head, was shattered by Wang Yu's attacks. Andariel screamed in pain, and a spider web fell from the sky. Wang Yu somersaulted and jumped down from her back. The spider web trapped Andariel in the middle. Caught in a cocoon? Aren't spellcasters immune to crowd control? Just as everyone was wondering, they heard a whoosh. Andariel cast another toxic nova. Wang Yu was still standing upside down, and the dragonfly easily dodged it. The others didn't have Wang Yu's skill, and their heads turned green from the poison. Wuji healed them as if his life depended on it. This toxic nova actually reduced their HP by a percentage. Just now, they had almost been wiped out. Over here. After stabilizing their HP, Wuji pointed to the nearest pillar. Iron Ox, hold the boss. Second brother, cover the stun. We'll deal damage from behind. Cover and deal damage again. Yin Lao Air was about to break down. Speaking of which, it's fine if I'm the tank. It's fine if I'm the sub-tank for Brother Chun, but now I'm the sub-tank for Nyoshin. I've always been second. Do you really need a shield warrior? Let me refresh. Everyone said, second brother, if you have to compete with Iron Ox, it's none of our business if you hurt your pride. With warrior's persistence, Wang Yu finally solved the problem of not being able to fight an animal-type boss. Although the lying ground punch was very powerful, as a man, Wang Yu was still very conflicted about crawling between animals for no reason. At this time, Wang Yu was holding her staff and had the silly Andariel stuck beside a pillar. She blocked and counterattacked at the same time, pulling aggro steadily. It seemed that even without the help of others, killing Andariel was only a matter of time. The others continued to deal damage without any regard for the consequences. When Andariel's skills came off cooldown and she was about to unleash a skill, everyone would hide behind a pillar and be safe and sound. 20%, 15%, 5%, 1%. Finally, under everyone's attacks, Andariel became a corpse full of resentment. She returned to the naked nun, lying on the ground with her limbs facing the sky. Bosses were meant to be defeated by players. Who's going to do it? Wang Yu asked. Chun Xiang, and to place one's pride fought to be the first to shout. Me. Andariel's figure was very good, it was a rare benefit from the system. Brother Chun, how can you be like this? I'm still young, can't you let me this once? To place one's pride had always been the boss, but now he took the initiative to use his age to gain sympathy. Chun Xiang pressed to place one's pride's head behind his back. Brat, Don't you know what it means to respect the old and love the young? Aren't you King married? What do you know? After marriage, we should fight for opportunities, Chun Xiang said shamelessly. Wuji was furious and waved his staff. Shut up, as the leader, you should let me have this opportunity. Why? The two protested. Wuji said coldly, because I can kick you out of the party. The two shut their mouth. If they were kicked out of the party, they would have fought for nothing. In terms of shamelessness, Wuji was still better. At this time, Bao San slapped Wuji's shoulder. What the **ck are you touching? Wuji was still confused when he heard Wang Yu shout, Hellfire Wall, a rare skill, can a Grandmaster of Combat use it? I'm asking you, Oldly, why aren't you saying anything? **ck. Wuji held his forehead and sighed. He had forgotten about this person who didn't play by the rules. Chapter 68. The first boss kill rewards were always generous, and Ariel was no exception. Not only did she drop a rare skill book, Hellfire Wall, she also dropped a silver-grade Hellfire Plate Armor. Hellfire Plate Armor, Silver, Physical Defense, 30-50 Magic Resistance, 30 to 507 Vitality, 5 Strength, 2 Agility. Hellthorn, Passive Skill, has a chance to reflect 10% of damage. Source of Life, Passive Skill, increases max HP by 220. Class Requirement, Warrior, Paladin Level Requirement, 15. This Hellfire Plate Armor had good physical and magic resistance, and it also reflected damage. Since Shield Warriors specialized in heavy armor and Yin Lao Air had a set, this Hellfire Plate Armor was given to Bao San. Hellfire Wall, Rare Skill, summons Hellfire to burn the earth, dealing 170% magic damage. Also has a burning effect. Can be stacked. Although fire magic was the entry level of ice and thunder magic, fire magic damage wouldn't be outdated in the later stages of the game. Hellfire Wall was also an AoE skill. AoE skills were very valuable in Rebirth. It was a great tool for leveling. There was only one mage in the team, so this book was naturally thrown to Mingdu, who had a face full of desire. After Mingdu received the skill, he smiled. On the other hand, Wang Yu was confused. Why was Mingdu so quiet today? The team leader submitted the dungeon. With a flash of light, everyone was sent out of the dungeon. System notification. Your team has successfully cleared Scarlet Church Elite. Obtained 100,000 EXP and 1 Yu Huiqing honor. System notification. You have completed the dungeon quest, Source of Chaos. Quest rank D, cleared, Scarlet Church, on normal difficulty 1-1. Please go to the teacher to receive your reward. Seeing his experience bar jump, Wang Yu was shocked. So clearing a dungeon gives so much experience. Looking at the time, there were still 2 hours before the event started. Wuji said, It's still early, do you guys want to get a drink? Who the hell wants to drink with a shameless person like you? I'm going to level up. Call me later when the event starts. Mingdu left the party as soon as they exited the instance dungeon. At this time, he had a deep grudge against Wuji for banning him, but he couldn't wait to try out his new skills. This old man has gathered enough herbs, I'm going to refine poison. Spring Xiang said. I'll go to the market and see if there are any good skills and equipment. Other than Bao San, everyone else declined. Wuji's alcohol tolerance was not good. Not only did he get drunk the moment he touched alcohol, but he also liked to go back on his word. After a few times, the Chuanjian people had been cheated by him, and no one was willing to drink with him anymore. Wuji. Seeing the crowd leave, Wang Yu walked over and shouted. Nyo go. Wuji became excited. You're going to treat me to a drink, oh no. Do you want to go for a drink or two with me? Wang Yu was now the richest person in the game. He wouldn't mind spending a few gold coins on some good wine, right? Wuji thought shamelessly. Wang Yu said, I rarely drink. Give me the authority, I'll bring those girls in. Girls! Hearing this, Wuji's thoughts of drinking immediately disappeared. For him, the temptation of girls was obviously much stronger than wine. And, didn't we agree in the instant's dungeon? Wang Yu said. Wuji said righteously, how can such a small matter require Niu Gu to go personally? I'll go. They don't know you, Wang Yu said. Then all the more I should go. As the guild leader, I have to be respectful, Wuji said. All right. Wang Yu nodded helplessly. Bao San said, I'll go too. You like girls too? Wang Yu asked curiously. Bao San was speechless. I'm not gay. I'm going because I'm worried about him, Bao San said as he pointed at Wuji. Tsk. Wang Yu shook his head. He had already said it like this, and he still said he wasn't gay. The girls were farming poison frogs at Sunset Lake, not far from the Scarlet Church. They were also gathering toad paste, alchemy ingredient. Since Sunset Lake and the Scarlet Church were separated by a level 20 leveling area, the girls couldn't cross. After receiving Wang Yu's message, the girls arranged for Wang Yu and the others to meet at Sunset Lake. Poison frogs were level 15 monsters. They weren't fast and their attack wasn't high. However, their poison was a bit annoying. However, the girls had all classes, so it wasn't hard to farm them. At this moment, the girls suddenly saw a large group of people walking towards them. There were a total of 20 people. Li Shui had seen the person at the front before. He was called Blood Shura, and he was the top warrior of Blood Alliance. He was really strong. The others were not familiar, but they all had blood-colored badges on their chests. It seemed like they were from Blood Alliance. Seeing Li Shui and the others, Blood Shura wasn't surprised at all. He walked up and said, Edelweiss, long time no see. Molly said in disgust, who wants to see you? Because of what happened last time, the four girls had seen Blood Alliance's true colors. So, Li Shui didn't give them any face and completely broke off relations with Blood Alliance. From the looks of it, the Crimson Azura must have come prepared to find trouble on purpose. As the saying goes, enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. The girls wouldn't be nice to him. Blood Shura looked coldly at Molly and said to Li Shui, I heard you guys have nowhere to go? Hee, that Iron Ox is so strong, but in the end you guys still lost your jobs. Li Shui said indifferently, don't try to sow discord between us and Brother Wang. The game is so big and there are so many guilds. It's not like Blood Alliance is the only one. Blood Shura laughed arrogantly, haha, interesting. I want to see if there are any guilds that dare to take you guys in after leaving Blood Alliance. Upon hearing the Scarlet Shura's words, the ladies' faces darkened. Blood Shura was right. The previous incident had caused quite a stir. Although most people on the forums didn't know the cause of the incident, everyone in the guild circle knew about it. So, Li Shui and the others had been running into a wall ever since. They had interviewed for a few guilds, but even if they had reached an agreement, once they saw their IDs, they would immediately say that their guild was full. Even though Wang Yu had single-handedly defeated Blood Alliance, Rebirth was so popular that there were a lot of new players entering the game. In just a few days, this kind of thing went from a rumor to a legend, and then from a legend to a story. The game was like this. No matter how strong a person was, could he really beat a big guild? Subconsciously, everyone thought that the previous incident was because Blood Alliance was too lazy to bother with Wang Yu. After all, the Blood Alliance was the biggest guild in Yuhui City. Even their Blood Rose was one of the top guilds in the country. Just from the number of people in the guild, one could tell that the Quanzhen sect, which only had a few people, could not compare to them. Because of this, no guild in Yuhuiqing would offend Blood Alliance for a few useless gold collecting members. Li Shui said with a black face, whether or not there are any guilds taking them in is none of your business. If there's nothing else, please move aside and don't disturb our leveling. Haha, it seems like you still don't understand. The Bloody Shura suddenly grinned and said, do you think we came all the way here just to befriend you? Then what do you want? The girls' faces tensed up and they immediately became alert. Chapter 69. As soon as the bloody Azura's voice fell, a skinny thief walked out from the crowd. As if he was trying to show off, this guy called Little Black did not even use stealth. He used quickness and rushed forward, stabbing Meng Meng. Meng Meng was a mage, so she had very little health. One stab took away almost 60% of her health. Seeing this, the other three quickly fought back. If this was a keyboard MMORPG, the girls might be able to put up a fight. However, this was a full simulation and the four girls weren't battle-tight. Their mechanics weren't even comparable to normal players. Furthermore, they were facing an elite expert from Blood Alliance, so they were forced to retreat. Li Shui hurriedly healed the girls so that the four of them would not be killed by the thief called Little Black. Seeing the thief's ease, he was probably toying with the four of them. Behind them was Sunset Lake. If they took another step back, the girls would fall in. The water beside the lake wasn't very deep, but it wasn't shallow either. Although it wasn't deep enough to drown, it was still quite humiliating to be forced into the water. Especially since female players in the game wore relatively revealing equipment, getting their clothes wet was a favorite thing to do. There was no guarantee that the shameless Blood Azura had the same mentality. Molly had a fiery temper and was the strongest among the four of them. When she saw that she and the others were about to be pushed into the water, she immediately charged forward. Little Black was caught off guard and was hit. Molly turned around and was about to hit him with a heavy blow. By Yubiu, a few arrows were shot. Unsure if it was intentional or not, the arrows all hit Marie's butt. The girl's face immediately turned red. Ha 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 ha! The group of men laughed in fear. Female monsters were extremely rare in the game. Teasing a female NPC would result in their account being deleted. It was rare to have a chance to tease a girl. Bloody Shura, you beast! The girls all cursed. Such harmless words would only make this group of unscrupulous fellows even worse. Ha ha, this time we're shooting the butt. Guess where we're going to shoot? Ha! I'm going to kill you. Although Marie was an extrovert, she was usually a serious girl. She had never been humiliated like this before. In a rage, she raised her sword and rushed towards Bloody Shura's group. Let me! Seeing Mary rushing over, everyone was eager to give it a try. They all volunteered to teach this girl a lesson. The Crimson Shura said shamelessly, "This lady has obviously taken a fancy to me. Let me do it." As he spoke, the Crimson Cultivator lowered his head and charged forward. Although the Blood Shura's character was terrible, he was still a core member of the Blood Alliance. He was an elite amongst the elite. How could Molly be his opponent? In just one round, the Blood Shura hit her in the chest and sent her flying. Ha ha! Little girl, you're overestimating yourself. The Blood Shura laughed arrogantly and took a step forward. It raised its sword and slashed down at Molly's head. Clang! A sword suddenly stretched out, blocking the Blood Azura's greatsword. Seeing that sword, the Bloody Shura felt that it was very familiar. It looked up and saw a guy with a fierce gaze staring at it. Bao San! The Bloody Shura cried out in shock. As an expert, the Bloody Shura obviously knew everyone in Chuanjin. When he raised his head to look at the lady, Xiao Hei had already been lifted by Wang Yu and thrown into the Sunset Lake. Xiao Hei struggled in the water, and was just about to pop his head out when Wang Yu took out a rod and smashed him back in. Scum! Bao San slashed over and forced the Blood Shura back. Charge! Fatal Strike! Double Slash! Triple Slash! Players in manual mode used combo attacks when they PK. Under Bao San's combo, the Blood Shura had no time to fight back and was left with low health. Luckily, the other members of the Blood Alliance arrived in time and forced Bao San to retreat. Otherwise, the Blood Shura would have been killed. Bao San protected Molly behind him and blocked the members of the Blood Alliance. At this time, Wang Yu and the others had drowned Little Black and were walking over. The Blood Shura was protected behind them and was scared pale. Seeing Wang Yu walk over, it was even more panic. Who is this? Why does he look so pretentious? A Blood Alliance player asked the Blood Shura in confusion. Chuanjin. Oh, that shameless guild. Everyone asked. Although these people were all experts from the elite teams, they were also new blood that had just been nurtured. They had heard of the Quanjin sect beating up the Blood Alliance, but they were still skeptical, so they didn't know how powerful the Quanjin sect was. The old players of the Blood Alliance naturally would not tell them about their embarrassing past. When they mentioned Chuanjin, they would say things like, "That guild only knows how to brag." Plus, everyone knew that Chuanjin guarded the guild's base and cheated. In the eyes of these new players, the people from Chuanjin were a bunch of trash. Ah yes. The Blood Shura was vague. The others did not know whether Chuanjin was strong or not, but how could he not know? The sword in Bao San's hand was snatched from him. Why would he say such things? It's just 3 people. I'll teach them a lesson. A warrior called Taowu White Rabbit said. Forget it, don't stoop to their level. Let's go back. The Blood Shura said. Taowu White Rabbit said very honestly, how can we do that? If we leave just like that, won't others be afraid of Chuanjin? This way, these trash will have even more material to brag about. The Blood Shura cursed in his heart, damn, if I wasn't afraid of them, I would have taught them a lesson long ago. I don't need your nonsense. Do as you see fit. The Blood Shura was also full of helplessness towards such a young calf. The people from Chuanjin were all very skilled. Just Bao San alone was not someone who could be defeated in a 1v1. Moreover, that Grandmaster of Combat, who was like a cheat, had actually dared to say that he wanted to fight 1 against 3. Young people really did not know their limits. Hearing the Blood Shura say this, Taowu White Rabbit was not stupid. He walked over and blocked in front of Wang Yu. He said arrogantly, I heard that you guys boasted that Chuanjin is Yu Huiqing's #1 guild? Wuji corrected him. It's Rebirth's #1 guild, but it's not boasting. Starting today, it's not. Taowu White Rabbit said and swung his sword towards Wuji's head. Bang! With a muffled sound, Taowu White Rabbit turned into a ball of white light. Wang Yu retracted his fist and asked Wuji, Is this person sick? Perhaps. Wuji said. Instant kill? The people from Blood Alliance were all stunned. Because the advantages of their professions were not fully displayed, instant kill was not uncommon in the early stages of the game. However, at the moment, only Thunder Mages and Thieves could do this. Taowu White Rabbit was a warrior. A warrior with thick skin and flesh was actually instantly killed by a fighter in the sewers. This was something they could not accept no matter what. It was more like it was the other way around. The Blood Shura saw Wang Yu and the others walk over step by step. He was so scared that his legs turned to jelly. If it weren't for so many brothers watching, he would definitely turn around and run. Wuji walked over and pointed at the Blood Shura. You are the boss, right? Yes, I am. The Blood Shura carefully put his sword into his pocket and walked out. He looked at Wang Yu and replied. Wuji said, I heard that because these girls are from Blood Alliance, no other guilds dare to take them in? No such thing. What other guilds want to do has nothing to do with Blood Alliance. The Blood Shura hurriedly said. Wuji laughed. Whether it has anything to do with you or not, from now on, these girls are Chuanjin's people. Blood Alliance, be more careful when you walk, understand? Everyone heard this and their expressions changed. They pointed at Wuji and said angrily, You Chuanjin people are so arrogant. Chapter 70. Trash. When the Blood Alliance members heard this, they all exploded. Bastard, tell me clearly, who are you calling trash? He was a gamer. Normally, if you called him ugly or stupid, he wouldn't care. The only thing you couldn't say was that he wasn't good at games, otherwise they wouldn't even be friends. Moreover, not only was the person in front of them not a friend, he was also giving off a disgusting aura. Even Wang Yu was confused. Wuji didn't look bad, but why was he so annoying? Was there really such a thing as temperament? Do you even need to ask? Of course I'm talking about you guys. Is there something wrong with your IQ? Wuji raised his eyebrows and asked back. F***ck. Don't stop me, I want to kill him. The Blood Alliance members charged over and the Blood Azura couldn't stop them at all. Wuji looked at Wang Yu and Bao San. Kill them! TSK. Wang Yu and Bao San twisted their necks and whistled in different directions. They weren't your underlings. If I killed them just because you told me to, I would lose so much face. F***ck. You two are messing with me? Wuji was shocked. The reason why he dared to mock Blood Alliance, apart from his arrogant personality, was mainly because he had Wang Yu and Bao San with him. At this moment, the two of them were arguing with each other. Wuji panicked. No matter how strong he was, no matter how good he was still a cleric with no fighting strength at all, Bao San said, since he was acting like AB***tsh, even if I have to cry, I have to finish it. Just as Wuji and Bao San were bickering, the people from the Blood Alliance had already attacked. These people really hated Wuji from the bottom of their hearts. Even the archers and mages carried their weapons and ran over to fight him. Wuji was not a kung fu expert like Wang Yu, nor was he a combat professional like Bao San. All he could do was circle around Wang Yu. Wang Yu's body was huge, and he managed to block Wuji behind him. Seeing that they couldn't attack, the Blood Alliance members decided to attack Wang Yu as well. It was just 3 people. In their eyes, there was not much difference between 1 person and 3 people. Initially, Bloody Shura was quite optimistic when it saw that Wang Yu did not care about Wuji. The most annoying person in Chuanjin was their boss. If it could kill him today, it would not be a wasted trip. However, when it saw its subordinates attacking Wang Yu, its heart almost jumped out of its chest. F***ck. The Crimson Shura's heart tightened and it almost turned to run. Facing their swords, Wang Yu easily dodged them. He stared at them and said, "Enough is enough. I am too lazy to kill you because of your boss. If you dare to take another step forward, don't blame me for being impolite." Why did Wang Yu have so much gold around his waist? It was all because of the 200 gold that Blood Red War Flag gave him. So, although Wang Yu did not like Blood Red War Flag, it was not his fault for taking it from them. Previously, he had agreed with Blood Red War Flag that if Blood Alliance did not find trouble with him, he would be merciful. However, if Blood Alliance found trouble, F***ck. He is even crazier than the previous one. Kill him as well. The Blood Alliance members' fighting spirit was ignited. That useless priest just said that they were trash, but this Grandmaster of Combat actually said that he could kill them at any time. He could not take it, he definitely could not. Before he finished speaking, everyone slashed at him once more. Sigh. Wang Yu sighed. He suddenly took a step forward and cut to the front of the few warriors. His left hand pressed down on one of the warrior's shoulders and his right hand grabbed the warrior's arm. With a pull and a lift, the warrior fell to the ground uncontrollably. After pressing the soldier down, Wang Yu stepped on his head and reached out to grab the other person's wrist. With a twist and a pull, the other person fell onto the body of the soldier. Then, she raised her leg and stepped on the back of the second person. This set of martial arts was called the 18 Stained Falls. It was a technique that specialized in grabbing and throwing opponents. Wang Yu had been immersed in this martial arts since he was young. Not to mention a group of normal players, even a martial arts expert would not be able to withstand 3 or 2 of his moves. Wang Yu's attacks were swift and his movements were strange. In gaming terms, he was fast and had a high dodge rate. Every time he attacked, 2 or 3 people would fall to the ground and then be piled on top of each other like a human pyramid. This was to prevent the Blood Alliance members from getting up and fighting again. After all, the game relied on statistics. Otherwise, if a normal person was hit by the 18 Stained Falls, it would be impossible for them to stand up in a short amount of time. In a short while, Wang Yu's side was like a pyramid. There was a pile of people around him. Apart from the Blood Shura, the rest of the Blood Alliance members were all knocked down. Are you coming? Wang Yu pressed down on the pile of people with one hand and beckoned the Blood Shura with the other. The Blood Shura's face was pale, and he shook his head in a panic. No, what a joke. Fighting this pervert one-on-one was just asking for trouble. At least you know what's good for you, Wang Yu said. I won't argue with you because of the 200 gold from Blood Red War flag. If there's a next time, I won't show any mercy. Do you understand? I understand. The Blood Red Azura nodded repeatedly. While Wang Yu was having fun throwing people around, the Blood Red Azura had already sworn that if he provoked the Chuanjian sect again, he would be a coward. Take your people and leave. With that, Wang Yu let go of the archer at the top of the pyramid. The people from Blood Alliance fell to the ground. Their expressions were blank and their eyes were deep. It was as if they were in a dream, but also as if they were enlightened. It was the same feeling as the bird of paradise that day. This time, they finally understood why Blood Red War Flag said that Chuanjian was a pile of trash in the guild every day, but Chuanjian was still doing well in Yuhuiqing. It wasn't until Wang Yu and the others were far away that the people from Blood Alliance came back to their senses. The archer said, "If I hadn't been arrogant and fought in close combat, I wouldn't have been defeated by that person." The mage said, "If I had made icicles from the start, I definitely wouldn't have allowed them to be so arrogant." The Blood Shura said, "So Chuanjian is still not Blood Alliance's opponent." Everyone was silent. Actually, they all knew in their hearts that this was just an excuse for their failure so that they wouldn't lose so badly. But who was stronger between Chuanjian and Blood Alliance? Was there a need to deliberately say that? Wang Yu and the others found a place without monsters to stop. Wang Yu pointed at Li Shui and introduced her to Wu Ji. "This lady is the alchemist I mentioned. Her name is Edelweiss. It's an honor to meet you." Wu Ji quickly walked over and said in a gentlemanly manner, "My name is Wu Ji. I'm the president of Chuanjian." The girls smiled. "I know. First came Hongjun, then came heaven. Chuanjian's first challenge was to conquer the world. President Wu Ji's name is like thunder in my ears." Wu Ji chuckled. "It's just an empty reputation, just an empty reputation." Wang Yu asked Bao San in confusion, "What kind of story is this?" Bao San was speechless. "He's just bragging that he's invincible. F***ck, that works too?" To dare shout such a shameless slogan, Wang Yu had a deeper understanding of Wu Ji's shamelessness. Sigh. Bao San shook his head and sighed helplessly. Seeing that Wu Ji and the girls were chatting happily, Wang Yu said, "You guys have fun, I'm going back." "Where are you going? Aren't you going to play with us?" Although Wu Ji said that, he sent a private message to Wang Yu. "You really have a good eye. Your salary will be doubled next month." The girls were more familiar with Wang Yu. If Wang Yu was there, they wouldn't be able to show their presence. Wang Yu smiled. "I'm here to submit a mission." At the same time, he nodded at the girls and turned to leave. Chapter 71. Back in the city, Wang Yu did not rush to submit his mission. Instead, he went to the consignment shop. The game would be open beta for a month, and it would only be officially launched after a month. That was when the currency exchange system would be opened. However, according to famous sword Daoxue, according to the game's tradition, even if the currency exchange system was opened, only RMB could be exchanged for game coins. Game coins could not be exchanged for RMB. It was like a scam in the traditional free-to-play online games. In that case, if Wang Yu wanted to get rid of his gold coins, he could only do so through consignment. In other games, if he wanted to consignment, he could only do so through some consignment website. However, Rebirth was jointly developed by many internet companies. Therefore, the game itself came with a consignment function. However, the processing fee was slightly higher, a full 10. Wang Yu could not do anything about it. Currently, gold coins were scarce in the early stages of the game, and the price was high. One gold coin could be sold for 1,000 yuan. Even if the system charged 10 yuan, there would still be 900 yuan in his account. As the number of players increased, the price of gold coins would become lower and lower. When the currency exchange day came, one gold coin might not even be able to sell for 100 yuan. After all, the official exchange rate was only this price. If it was as high as the official exchange rate, who would want your items? There was a processing fee. When he arrived at the consignment shop, Wang Yu first bound his account, then took out 19,000 gold coins from his bag, and put it up. Gaming was also a business that required spending. 1,000 gold coins was more than enough to cover his expenses in the game. Wang Yu put up this 19,000 gold coins for a week. It was such a large sum of money that no one would be able to digest it all at once. He could only take it slow. Otherwise, it would be too easy to become a millionaire. After the gold coins were put up for sale, Wang Yu went to the tavern to buy 2 bottles of alcohol. He put them in his bag and turned around to enter the dark and damp alley. Hermit was still as dispirited as ever. Wang Yu opened the bottle as usual, and only then did the guy turn around. He took the bottle and finished it in one gulp, wiped his mouth with his dirty sleeve, and asked, "Why are you here again?" This was a guy who could not hold back his fart while eating others. "I'm here to submit my mission," Wang Yu said. "Oh." Hermit narrowed his eyes and said, "What did you find?" "The power of darkness," said Wang Yu. "Did you bring it?" Hermit asked again. "Items?" Wang Yu was a little dazed. The quest didn't say that he had to bring anything. Hermit reminded, "It's something used by martial artists." "This?" Wang Yu took out a long rod from his bag. It was the warrior's persistence. Seeing the staff, Hermit's eyes lit up. He reached out and caught it. After taking a look at it, he threw it back in disgust. "Sai, your strength is still not enough. You can only get such trash." Wang Yu. Trash. Was there trash that was worth 10,000 yuan? The hermit paused for a moment before continuing. The real warrior's obsession is the war god's divine artifact. When darkness descended, it was stolen by the hateful hellhound. I've gone to hell several times to search for it, but to no avail. I thought you'd be able to satisfy me, but I didn't expect you to bring back a fake. Hell? Wang Yu was puzzled. Where is hell? Are you willing to go to hell and help me retrieve the real warrior's persistence? Hermit didn't answer Wang Yu's question. Instead, he gave Wang Yu a difficult problem. If this was in real life, Wang Yu would definitely ignore such an unreasonable person. However, this was a game. An unreasonable NPC represented a quest, as expected. As soon as Hermit finished speaking, Wang Yu received a notification. System notification. You have activated Legacy Journey quest. Quest rank A. Do you accept? Accept. System notification. Legacy Journey. Go to hell and retrieve the artifact, Warrior's Persistence, left behind by one of the 7 heroes, Lord Martial God. Warrior's Persistence 0-1. After receiving the quest, Wang Yu looked at the staff in his hand again. There was a fake behind the silver. Speaking of which, where is hell? Wang Yu asked again. Hermit said, "If I tell you everything, I won't be able to survive." Wang Yu threatened, "Do you still want the staff?" Hermit looked indifferent. "I'm living well in the city. I don't have to go to the battlefield. I can't use that thing anyway. I can only give it to my only disciple. Sai, F***ck. Wang Yu really suspected that this old man was a real person in disguise. He actually turned the tables around. Wang Yu was helpless. He took out another bottle of wine from his bag and said, "Teacher, I really don't know where hell is." Hermit took the wine with a smile and said, "A place with the word hell in it." With hell? Wang Yu thought about it and said, "Hell mode dungeon?" I didn't say anything. Hermit nodded without saying anything. He hugged the wine bottle and gulped it down. Wang Yu was speechless again. "Your disciple is weak. The monsters in hell are strong. I'm afraid I can't do it. After clearing the dungeon, Wang Yu understood the difficulty of the game. The monsters in the dungeon were all much stronger than him. There was a saying that one could defeat 10 with strength. No matter how strong his technique was, there was a limit. Silly child, I'm not asking you to go now. Take this and find the dwarf Simba at the blacksmith. He will increase your strength. Hermit took out a letter from his pocket and handed it to Wang Yu. Wang Yu took the letter. Hermit said, "Oh right, the clue to level up, fighter's glory is also in hell. You might as well try to understand it." Got it. Wang Yu looked at the stupid ring on his hand. He stood up and gave Hermit a fist and palm salute. Then teacher, I'll go back first. Go. Remember to bring me some food next time, Hermit said impatiently. System notification. You have completed the dungeon quest, Source of Chaos. Quest rank D, cleared, Scarlet Church, in above normal mode 0/1. Obtained 50,000 EXP, Fighter's Grip, Bronze, *1. Fighter's Grip, Bronze, Attack. 17-25 mana. 6 to 123 Agility 2 Strength Perfection. Side Kick Skill 1 Class Requirement. Fighter Level Requirement, 15. It was a very normal bronze equipment. It was probably a storyline equipment. It was like an old boxing glove that everyone had. It was better than nothing, so Wang Yu put it in his bag. After leaving the alley, Wang Yu came to the blacksmith's shop. The blacksmith's shop was also in the middle of the street. The blacksmith's weapon business was not very good, but this stall's business was unusually good. In the game, besides dropping equipment from bosses, one could also drop blueprints. With the blueprints and materials, one could forge equipment. Although the attributes of the forged equipment were better than those dropped by monsters of the same level, the highest the forged equipment could go was dark gold. Even so, the blacksmith subclass was still the first choice of the players in the game. After all, even if it was white equipment, it was still better than normal equipment dropped by monsters. If it was dark gold, wouldn't it be rich? After all, legendary and epic were rare items. Even in the later stages of the game, dark gold equipment was still the symbol of high-end players. Therefore, many players would train their forging skills in the blacksmith shop every day, hoping that one day they could forge the best and become a master blacksmith. This was also a different kind of pursuit. As far as the eye could see, there was a whole row of forging stalls in front of the blacksmith's shop. None of the forging stalls were empty, and there were even people queuing up. Wang Yu squeezed into the blacksmith's shop with great difficulty. After walking around, he did not see the NPC that Hermit mentioned. "Dear customer, how may I be of service?" the blacksmith's owner, Schindler, asked with a smile. Wang Yu said, "I'm looking for Simba." "I'm sorry, dear customer, the blacksmith shop does not have this item. You can go to the shop next door and ask." Schindler maintained his professional smile. It seemed like this guy was a low-level NPC with no intelligence. Chapter 72. Craftsman God. Simba. Isn't that Simba the Lion King? Wang Yu looked in the direction of the player's finger and saw a dirty old man curled up in the corner, hugging a bottle of wine and sleeping soundly. As expected of Hermit's friend. Apart from the difference in appearance, his style was almost the same. The same sloppy, the same drunkard. Sigh. Wang Yu sighed and helplessly left the blacksmith shop. He went to the tavern to buy a few bottles of wine, then unscrewed the cap of one of the bottles and placed it behind Simba. After a while, the snoring Simba opened his eyes. Seeing this scene, all the blacksmith players were stunned. They had been forging equipment here for a long time and naturally saw this sloppy beggar-like dwarf. This dwarf had been sleeping since the players forged equipment in the blacksmith shop. Other than occasionally waking up and saying that he was craftsman god Simba, he wouldn't say anything else. The players here were all blacksmith. When they heard that this guy was the craftsman god, of course they wouldn't let him go, so they thought of many ways to get some information out of the dwarf. But this dwarf was like a dead man. No matter how they asked, he wouldn't speak. Who would have thought that the thing that lured him to speak was a bottle of wine? The blacksmith player who just spoke to Wang Yu said in disbelief, "No way, I bought wine yesterday and tried it? He didn't even pay attention to me." The person next to him mocked, "Don't embarrass yourself with that malt wine of yours. Look at what he gave you. It's 1 gold coin per bottle." The blacksmith player was speechless. In this period of time, gold coins were very valuable. Those who had gold coins were all high-end players. Which high-end player would put their mind on a blacksmith shop? The dwarf, Simba, opened his eyes and glanced at the bottle beside him. He reached out and grabbed it. Then, he raised the bottle and poured it into his mouth. The wine flowed down his long beard, which made Wang Yu sigh. This was too sarcastic. "Who are you?" After drinking, Simba asked Wang Yu in a muffled voice. Wang Yu took out Hermit's recommendation letter and handed it over. "My teacher asked me to come." After taking the letter, Simba glanced at it and was slightly stunned. "Martial artist? I haven't seen this profession in a long time. Tell me, what business do you have with me?" Wang Yu said, "Teacher said that you can help me improve my strength." Simba shook his melon-like head and said, "You know, my dear Arya left me, and I've been depressed for many years. I can't swing a hammer anymore, eh?" It seemed that this old man was also a sad man who was trapped by love. Wang Yu asked, "Then how can I help you?" "Give me another bottle of wine." Simba said. "Aren't you going to look for your AI Leah?" Wang Yu was puzzled. His wife had already run away, yet he was still drinking. What was the point? Wang Yu took out the fighter's grip and asked. Simba said, "Yes. As long as you're not afraid of your weapon getting covered in dust, I don't mind." "Damn!" Wang Yu cursed. His meaning was clear. "Don't try to fool me with trash unless you want your weapon to become trash. Do I have to spend money to buy one? It's tens of thousands. My wife only earns a few thousand a month." Wang Yu muttered as he rummaged through his backpack. At this time, he suddenly found a large sword. Wang Yu's eyes lit up. He pulled out the large sword and placed it in front of Simba. "Will this work?" Simba's eyes widened when he saw the large sword in Wang Yu's hand. The inextinguishable Afterglow Warblade. "This is Erda's weapon. How do you have it?" This large sword was the gold weapon that was not sold the last time. "I got it from the boss." Wang Yu said, "How about it? Will it work?" Simba looked at Wang Yu meaningfully and said, "Sure. Give me the weapon. I'll pick it up in 2 hours." 2 hours? Wang Yu looked at the time. It would be 12 in an hour. Of course. This is an artifact upgrade. The process is very complicated. If you think it's too long, I have a set of simple and quick methods. However, I can't guarantee the success rate. Alright. Wang Yu quickly interrupted. 2 hours it is then. Don't skimp on the work. You're doubting the personality of the god of crafts. Wang Yu hurriedly said, I don't dare. At the same time, he thought, what kind of personality does a stupid NPC have? I'm doubting the personality of all the NPCs in this game. After passing the weapon to Simba, Wang Yu sat at the side and waited quietly. Suddenly, his friends list flashed. Chapter 73. Guess who I am? After Wang Yu accepted Feather Immortal's friend request, Feather Immortal sent him a message. Wang Yu smiled and said, I guess you're not my wife. As expected of a married couple, their naming skills were equally inept. Wang Yu originally wanted to call her Immortal Feather. Mu Zixin just switched it around. Haha, where are you? Mu Zixin asked. Yu Huiqing is at the blacksmith shop. What about you? What level are you? I'm at Novice Village 0610, Luminous Village. I'm level 8 now. Mu Zixin said. Level 8? So fast? Wang Yu was shocked. One had to know that even someone as strong as Wang Yu took a day to go from level 1 to level 10. I know where to level up the fastest. There's even an expert to guide you. Mu Zixin smiled. Wang Yu heard this and his eyes turned cold. He asked cautiously, Expert? What expert? As a customer service employee, Mu Zixin knew where to level up the fastest. However, to be able to farm monsters so efficiently, she definitely wasn't an ordinary person. Seeing his wife playing so happily with other experts in the game, Wang Yu suddenly felt a bit uneasy. Look at you, the expert is a woman. Mu Zixin naturally felt Wang Yu's uneasiness. She smiled and scolded, Hurry up and help this old lady pass a quest. Wang Yu was speechless. I'm already level 18, I can't pass. In Rebirth, after reaching level 10, players would leave the novice village. After leaving the novice village, they couldn't return. After all, there were so many novice villages and only 300 main cities. The teleportation circle didn't have a novice village number that indicated the location. Mu Zixin said, Others can't pass, but you can. I'll show you the way. And okay, wait for me. Wang Yu stood up and walked towards the teleportation array according to Mu Zixin's instructions. Luminous Village was part of Dark Knight City's territory. After exiting Dark Knight City, one had to head north and pass through a level 40 monster zone. Novice Village 0610 was just around the corner. Ordinary players might not have such a concept, but as a customer service employee, Mu Zixin had a thorough understanding of the game's map. Dark Knight City's monsters were mostly undead creatures, such as zombies and skeletons. Compared to Yu Huiqing, they were much more unique. Fortunately, Luminous Village was very close to the main city. After avoiding a few waves of vampire bats, Wang Yu finally arrived at Luminous Village half an hour later. Fortunately, this was in the game. Otherwise, traveling across cities on foot would take a few days and nights. When he arrived at Luminous Village, Mu Zixin had already been waiting for a long time. Behind her was an archer. Seeing Mu Zixin, Wang Yu tugged at Mu Zixin's clothes in confusion and asked, Why did you choose the knight profession? A knight was a tank profession. What was a tank? It was a profession that specialized in getting beaten up. For women, playing as a priest or mage was enough. At the very least, playing as a warlock was fine. Playing as a knight was something for men. With my skills, I can't play as a DPS profession. At least playing as a knight or something won't be as easy to kill. Mu Zixin said honestly. Wang Yu was speechless. If a tank's skills aren't good, then it won't be just one person dying. Mu Zixin laughed. Haha, I'm just playing around. I don't plan on being the best in the world. Wasn't that right? The wife of the best player in the game was an existence above the best player in the game. Only a girl wouldn't be interested in being the best in the game. Haha, that's true. Wang Yu laughed and scratched the back of his head. He looked at the archer behind Mu Zixin and asked, This girl is the expert you were talking about? There were many experts in Rebirth, but all Wang Yu had seen were men. There were very few female experts. The girl walked over and said, Brother Yu, I'm Little Yang. Little Yang? It can't be. How did you change your appearance? Wang Yu said in surprise. When creating a character in the game, you can change your appearance. Sister Xian and I have already changed our appearance. Can't you tell? Yang Na said. Wang Yu said, We are an old couple. I don't need to look at our faces. I can recognize them based on my feelings. Oh. Yang Na looked at the happy couple and nodded. Then let's go for the quest. Alright. What quest? Wang Yu asked. At the same time, he was puzzled. If he guessed correctly, Yang Na was also a kung fu expert. What quest in the novice village would be difficult for her? A rank quest, Dark Knight Soul. Yang Na said and shared the quest with Wang Yu. System notification, you have shared the quest, Dark Knight Soul. Quest rank A, eliminate evil for the people. Kill the Big Jack's Lantern Boss 0 to 1. Can be completed in a party of 3. A rank quest? Is it also a hidden quest? Wang Yu asked. Mu Zixin said, That's right. There are 7 hero legacy quests in the game. Dark Knight Soul is one of them, just like Heart of the Brave. Heart of the Brave seems to be S rank, but this is only A rank, Wang Yu mumbled. They were both hidden professions, but the difference was too big. In the game, S rank quests meant that they could not be completed. A rank quests represented the highest difficulty. Although it was only 1 rank, the difference in difficulty was too big. Maybe there are differences between hidden professions, Mu Zixin said. She was a customer service member. The highest authority she had was to know the name of the quest. If it wasn't for someone triggering Dark Knight Soul during the closed beta, she probably wouldn't even know this. The leveling area outside of Luminous Village was called Place of Darkness. There were ghost bats and one-eyed monsters all over the place. The deepest part of Place of Darkness was called Dark Forest. Dark Forest was where Jack's lanterns spawned. Jack's lanterns were strangely shaped. They had no limbs, only a big head that floated back and forth in the dark. Compared to the wild wolves in the Dawn Plains, they were a lot weirder. Wang Yu's level was enough to suppress these low-level monsters. He charged all the way to where the boss spawned. It was a swamp. Just like the Silver Wolf Warriors and Silver Wolf Guards, there were 12 special monsters. There were 8 Jack's Lanterns Warriors and 4 Jack's Lanterns Guards. They were all level 10 monsters. Wang Yu could easily deal with them alone before he left the novice village. Now, he had help. Soon, the 12 guard monsters were cleared. Yang Na came over and said to Wang Yu, "I heard from Sister Xian that Brother Yu is a kung fu expert. It seems like it's true. These monsters are all elite monsters. Even high-level players would find it hard to deal with them. Brother Yu actually dealt with them so easily." Wang Yu turned around and looked at Yang Na. He smiled and said, "You're not bad either. You've been practicing kung fu since you were young." Although Yang Na deliberately avoided being a grandmaster of combat and chose an archer, and even deliberately hid it during battle, a grandmaster like Wang Yu could tell that this lady's skills were not ordinary. After all, it was a habit of many years. She couldn't hide it just because she wanted to. "Ah? You must be joking. I don't know anything about kung fu," Yang Na said hurriedly. "Is that so?" Wang Yu asked coldly. "Of course. Otherwise, I would have chosen Grandmaster of Combat like you, Brother Yu," Yang Na replied. Wang Yu laughed lightly and didn't say anything else. As Mu Zixian's HP plummeted, Jack-Lantern's HP that had been knocked down by Yang Na rapidly recovered. Bang! Just as Mu Zixian was about to be sucked to death, a staff flew over and pushed Jack the Lantern back a few steps. The forced movement interrupted life drain. Without waiting for Jack the Lantern to stabilize himself, Wang Yu quickly caught up. He caught the staff with both hands and planted it on the ground. His feet flew up, and he stomped on Jack the Lantern's face. Bang! Jack the Lantern was kicked far away. The designer probably didn't know that Thunder Stamp could be used in such a way. 2245 The power of lightning had a suppressive effect on darkness-type monsters. Wang Yu's high skill completion also caused a stun effect. A circle of stars appeared on Jack the Lantern's head. After sending Lantern Jack flying, Wang Yu did not stop there. She swung her staff and smashed it down, blocking Lantern Jack Lantern's path of retreat. The armor break effect combined with the high damage caused Lantern Jack Lantern to be unable to retaliate. At this time, Yang Na's fear effect also ended. She stood behind Wang Yu and shot arrow after arrow. Not long after, Jack the Lantern's HP fell to 30%. Ga. Jack the Lantern's HP fell to 30% and suddenly teleported. Seeing this, Wang Yu and Yang Na quickly retreated, protecting Mu Zixian behind them. Ga. Jack the Lantern's eerie laughter came from above. The three looked up and saw a cloud of black mist shrouding their heads. Yang Na raised her bow and shot, but found that physical attacks had no effect. The black mist was getting closer and closer to the three. Wang Yu spun the staff in his hand and knocked Yang Na out of range. He then rolled on the ground and dodged. At the same time, he activated Cloud Grasp and dragged Mu Zixian out. Yang Na rubbed the back of her waist that was knocked by Wang Yu and glared at Wang Yu. He was so gentle to his own wife, but used a staff to hit other girls. What kind of person was this guy? He was too inhuman. Wang Yu ignored Yang Na and hit the black mist with a telekinesis wave. The black mist was knocked back, and then he followed it up with a horizontal thunder step. This should be called Thunder Kick. After being hit by two of Wang Yu's skills, the black mist weakened a little. It quickly avoided Wang Yu and floated to the two girls. Cloud Grasp's cooldown was also over. Wang Yu casually patted and a white gas rolled out, pulling the black mist back. The Grandmaster of Combat's skills had short cooldowns, and the activation time was low. Wang Yu only used these 3 magic attack skills back and forth, but they were connected seamlessly. Under the watchful eyes of the two girls, the black fog was finally beaten into a puff of black smoke, a unique characteristic of dead dark creatures, and then a bunch of things fell from the sky. Yang Na walked up and picked up the dropped items. She only took a token and handed the rest to Wang Yu. Wang Yu accepted it without hesitation. Jack's Soul, Staff, Silver, Attack, 12-19 Mana, 30 to 457 Intelligence, 3 Spirit Life Drain, creates a spirit chain that absorbs life. While dealing damage to the target, it heals the user. Lasts for 5 seconds. Cannot be moved. Silence. Silence the target for 3 seconds. Class requirement: Priest, Mage level requirement, 15 Fear. Rare skill. Uses the power of darkness to fear a target, causing the target to flee in fear. Lasts for 5 seconds. Class requirement: Dark Warlock, Darkness Descent. Rare skill. The user's body turns into a black mist, immune to physical damage and can fly in the air. Deals 70 magic damage to targets within the mist. The staff's main attributes were average, but it had 2 controllable skills that could be used to deal damage and recover health. It was a rare item. The 2 skill books were even more difficult to buy with money, especially the Darkness Descends. Not only was it immune to physical attacks, it could also allow one to fly. Even a noob like Wang Yu could tell that this was definitely a rare item. Mu Zixian tugged at Wang Yu and sent him a private message. This is Yang's quest. She also helped a lot. Why did you take all of it? Wang Yu replied, taking someone's money to get rid of a disaster. Besides, she doesn't lack these things. Seeing Mu Zixian's awkward expression, Yang Na smiled and said, Sister Xian, don't worry about it. My goal is to kill Jack's lantern and this class change token. I don't need anything else. See, I told you, Wang Yu said. Mu Zixian was slightly helpless. She understood Wang Yu's temper very well. She was magnanimous and wouldn't be startled by anything. She had never seen Wang Yu target someone like this before. After cleaning up the battlefield, Wang Yu looked at the time. There were still 10 minutes before the event started. So he said to the two, I have to hurry back. Okay. Go on, go on. Mu Zixian nodded. The two of them had been together for a long time, so they didn't mind being together for a while. Yang Na said, let's add each other as friends. Saying that, she sent a friend request. After Wang Yu accepted it, he sent a private message. I don't care what your motive is, but let me tell you, don't do anything to Sister Xian. I'm not running away because I'm afraid, but because I don't want to make things difficult for everyone. Do you understand? I'm helping her level up. Get lost. Wang Yu glared at Wu Ji fiercely. There was no difference between a name and a phone number in the game. Wang Yu was not stupid to give his wife's ID to an old pervert like Wu Ji. Right, how did you arrange for these girls? Wang Yu looked at the girls beside him and asked. Wu Ji said, of course they're in charge of logistics and supplies. They're professional players. We provide materials and they provide skills. It's a win-win situation, and it's mutually beneficial. Oh? They agreed? Of course, our Chuanjin has special resources. We'll develop it together, and we'll earn money together. With so much money, a few people won't be able to earn it all, Wu Ji said. Brilliant. Wang Yu gave a thumbs up, and was very satisfied with Wu Ji's arrangements. As expected of a guild leader, he understood everything when it came to doing business. If it was Wang Yu, he would definitely be at a loss. If it wasn't for meeting famous sword Daoxue as soon as he entered the game, he would probably be scammed even when he was selling equipment. At the same time, Wang Yu was also very happy that the girls could find a better way out. Although the salary of a gold farming member was not low, it was still hard work. Being a technical player was much easier than being a hard worker, so why not? As they were talking, Molly suddenly walked over with a glass of wine in her hand. She walked up to Bao San with a flushed face and said, "Third brother, thank you for saving my life just now. This glass of wine is a toast to you." The people of Chuanjin were instantly stunned, and they all looked at Bao San. There was a story behind this. Bao San's expression was more confused than anyone else's. Killing people and saving people was a common occurrence in the game. He could just say thank you at the time. There was really no need to specifically thank him. It's nothing. If you want to thank someone, thank Brother Iron Ox, Bao San said, a little bewildered. Molly was still blushing as she said, "It's not the same. I'm friends with Brother Yu in real life, and he should save me. You're the first boy to block a knife for me." Alright. Bao San was stunned for a moment, and he reached out to take the glass and drank it in one gulp. "Thank you." Molly took the glass back and looked at Bao San affectionately before returning to her seat. Only Bao San was still standing there in a daze, and he had not recovered from his shock. The others had also recovered from their shock. This girl was going to chase after Bao San. Wang Yu's awkwardness was about to act up, and he whispered to Wu Ji, "Let's meet at the encampment next time. It's fine if we're on the same side, but I'm so embarrassed in public." To place one's pride was playing with the gold coin, and he also came over and jeered from the side. "That's right, Wu Ji. At least if you have a love rival, you can ask for a duel on the spot. You can't do that here, and you'll have to pay if you break the table." Tisk! Wu Ji sneered in disdain, and he took a sip of his wine. "That girl probably has no chance." Oh! Everyone was slightly stunned, and Ming Jian Daoshu asked in a gossipy manner, "Boss Wu Ji, you're still so confident." Wu Ji was speechless. "What are you guys thinking? It's not what you think. I know Bao San the best. He's born in the year of the dog, and he won't change a tree even if he wants to pee." Chun Xiang laughed. "I know about this. Bao San drank too much last time, and in order to pee under the tree that he often pees under, he broke his front tooth while climbing the platform." Hearing this, everyone was amazed. Bao San was really a person with character. Yin Lao Er rubbed his chin and mumbled, "So, Boss Wu Ji, you're more confident in Bao San? Believe me, a man's heart will always become." "Damn you!" Wu Ji cursed. "Is this fun for you guys? Bao San is my younger brother, alright?" Everyone! This was really big news. Bao San heard Wu Ji's yell, and he sat down to explain. "That's right, we're brothers, but one is with my father, and the other is with my mother." "I see." Everyone took a closer look at the two of them, and indeed, there were some similarities. But back then, they all thought that they were husband and wife. Who would have thought that the two of them had this kind of relationship? But in today's society, this kind of thing was not rare. Ming Jian Daoshu mumbled, TSK, romance novels have always been about brothers. Daoxue has this kind of taste?" As expected, Chuanjin was not an ordinary person. It's okay to be a single-parent family, there's no need to feel inferior. Chun Xiang comforted Bao San. "This lady is quite pretty. I've read her fortune, and she brings good fortune to her husband. Bao San has a girlfriend, but that woman doesn't want him anymore," Wu Ji said coldly. "Sigh, this child is really far from me." "Is that so?" You have a girlfriend? Wang Yu asked in surprise. Chapter 76. Just as everyone was gossiping about Bao San's love life, the system suddenly sent out an announcement. The Spring Festival event has begun. The specific rules and regulations of the event have been sent to all players' backpack. A row of huge words appeared, shocking everyone. It was repeated 3 times. At the same time, all the players in the game received a notification. System notification. You have received the Spring Festival Event Handbook. The reason why the Spring Festival event was so grand was actually very simple. From the 24th of the 12th lunar month to the first day of the first lunar month, all monsters in the server would have a triple EXP drop rate. In addition, there would be a special monster called Nian in the leveling area. There were 3 types of Nian: Nian Baby, Nian Beast, and Nian Boss. Killing Nian Beasts not only gave various rewards but also points. After the event, according to the points system, the top 10 players in the server would receive a special reward. System notification. Nian Beasts are very strong, it is recommended to form a party. It is not easy to level up, so cherish it. After reading the event handbook, Mingjian Daoshu aside, the price of equipment is going to drop. Iron Ox, do you have any more inventory? Hurry up and deal with them, the others nodded. The mainstream equipment was still iron equipment, and silver equipment was still rare. The Spring Festival event had a triple EXP drop rate, so it was definitely time for equipment to be updated. The rarer something was, the greater its value. When bronze equipment became the mainstream, the price of silver equipment would definitely drop drastically. Wang Yu shook his head. I've long since run out. Wang Yu had always been the type to sell the equipment he obtained, not even bothering to bargain. Speaking of which, how are we going to do this event? Wang Yu turned his gaze to Wuji. Wuji was the one who had the most ideas in this group. He would always use the least amount of manpower to maximize the profit. There's no point in having a full server drop rate. Let's go alone. The chances of encountering the Nian boss will be higher. Wuji said. Alright, let's split up. Wang Yu stood up and walked out first, followed by Brother Chun, Yin Lao Er, and Mingjian Daoshu. The 3 of them followed closely behind. After the 4 of them left, Wuji sat there drinking by himself. He had no intention of leaving. Bao San, who had always been with him, also sat there without moving. Mingdu's face lit up with joy. To place one's pride, a wretched smile appeared on his face as he watched Wang Yu walk away. He then ran over to the 4 girls' table and asked, Big sis, do you want me to take you to level up? That's right, that's right. 4 against 4, men and women working together won't be tiring. Youth is still young, don't waste it. Mingdu agreed. In truth, the girls were quite willing to train with these 4 people. After all, they were from the same guild. Moreover, all 4 of them were great experts. However, when they saw the expressions on the 2's faces, the girls hesitated. To place one's pride and Mingdu's hearts skipped a beat when they saw the girls' expressions. They thought to themselves, oh no, I was too enthusiastic and scared the girls. The 2 of them looked at Wuji tragically. Wuji chuckled and pointed at Bao San. Bao San also wants to train with you guys. The girls looked at Molly. Molly nodded and said, all right, let's go to the guild encampment to train. We can also get some lime powder or something along the way. After leaving the tavern, Wang Yu's group of 4 split up. After all, different classes and preferences suited different monsters. Warlocks liked close-range attacks, warriors liked low-health monsters, assassins liked long-range monsters, and Wang Yu liked humanoid monsters. At this time, because of the Spring Festival event, even the professional players who usually stayed indoors had left the city. In an instant, the outskirts of the city were filled with people. Wang Yu passed through the crowd and headed straight for the Sunset Mountains. When Wang Yu came here to do a quest yesterday, he discovered that there were also humanoid monsters here, and they gave quite a lot of experience. Soon, Wang Yu encountered his first monster. Wandering Musketeer, LV 31,000 skills. Musket Shot Whip. This was a very Western-style monster. The Musketeer's whip skill wasn't an attack skill, but a semi-grab type of control skill. If you weren't careful, you would be caught by the Musketeer's whip and then headshot. The damage of the Musketeer was very high, and it had a critical hit attribute. Normal players would not be able to withstand a few hits. However, this was not a problem for Wang Yu. The Musketeer's skills were so weak in the eyes of a fighter like Wang Yu. It would be strange if the whip could control Wang Yu. Wang Yu dodged the whip and cut into the Musketeer's chest. With a few punches and kicks, he turned the Musketeer into white light. While gaining experience, Wang Yu also obtained a bronze-grade Musketeer. Wandering Musketeer, Bronze. Secondary weapon, attack. 27-35 mana. 0-07 agility 3 strength weak point attack. 30% chance of critical damage. Level requirement. 1. Looking at the Musketeer's description, Wang Yu was very surprised. He did not think that the Musketeer would drop a secondary weapon. Secondary weapons were a setting in Rebirth. This was because, apart from the Retribution Paladin's two-handed spear and the fighter's glove, most professions used a one-handed weapon. Therefore, the secondary hand would be free to equip some light weapons. At the current stage of the game, one could by throwing knives, shurikens, and other throwing secondary weapons in Yu Huicheng's blacksmith shop. The higher end would be the light crossbow. However, high-end secondary weapons were very rare. Wang Yu had only seen Mingjian Shui use it. However, his light crossbow was only a normal white equipment, and its attack power was far inferior to this musketeer. Strictly speaking, musketeers in Rebirth belong to archers. However, players at level 15 would have a firearms proficiency talent, which could be used by any profession. Therefore, musketeers were considered rare secondary weapons. The 3 times drop rate was indeed a well-deserved reputation. Normally, even if Wang Yu was soloing, the chances of obtaining a bronze equipment from a small monster would be extremely low, let alone such a rare secondary weapon. With a good start, Wang Yu's spirits were lifted, and he put in a lot of effort when farming monsters. The level 30 monster area was deserted. Other than the bang-bang sounds of gunfire, it was still quite quiet. However, the drop rate of this secondary weapon was a little too low. Wang Yu had farmed dozens of musketeers, and only 5 of them had dropped. Moreover, other than the bronze one, the rest were all steel. Even so, Wang Yu was quite satisfied. It must be known that the price of a high-end secondary weapon was not cheaper than a normal rare skill book. This was also under the 3 times drop rate. Otherwise, it would not even be able to drop a white one. After dealing with the musketeer in his hands, Wang Yu was just about to rest for a while, when he suddenly heard a very strange sound. It sounded like a wolf's howl, but it also sounded like a dog's. Hearing this sound, Wang Yu was delighted. Hee, it's a Nian. After playing the game for so long, Wang Yu also knew that there was a strict distinction between humanoid monsters and bestial monsters. Other than in dungeons, in wild maps where humanoid monsters could be found, bestial monsters would definitely not appear. Once the 2 types of monsters were together, there was no need for players to do anything. They would fight each other first. Rebirth's company called it. This is the game's monster AI. Chapter 77. Broadcast. Follow Qidian reading and receive first-hand news on the 515 red envelope. Students who haven't gotten any red envelopes since Chinese New Year can now show off their skills. Wang Yu looked in the direction of the sound, and sure enough, she saw 3 chubby little things lying on the ground, looking as though they were scared out of their wits. The little things had horns on their heads, fangs turned outwards, and their bodies were covered in scales. They looked very ferocious, but their trembling appearance made them look very pitiful. Young Nian, LV 30. Special 10,000 skills. Beast King's roar, dusk charge, these are Nian beasts? Wang Yu walked over and cruelly kicked one of the little things. He was filled with doubt. You dare to call them mobile monsters with such little guts? Oh woo! The little thing looked very pitiful. After being kicked by Wang Yu, it roared and pounced over. This pounce gave Wang Yu a fright. Meow, you really can't judge a Nian by its appearance. This little cub's speed was extraordinarily fast. Wang Yu was caught off guard and crashed into him, causing his HP to drop by 30%. Wang Yu's dual resistance was comparable to a shield warrior's, and he lost a third of his HP in one hit. It could be seen that these three little things had high attack power. If they charged at him together, he would be dead. After witnessing the power of the Nian beasts, Wang Yu did not dare to be careless. He bent his knees and lowered his center of gravity. He protected his abdomen with one hand and got into a fighting stance with the other. The Nian beasts charged over again, but this time there were three of them. Wang Yu's eyes turned cold. When the Nian beasts were in front of him, he lightly jumped over them. At the same time, he bent down and grabbed the Nian beast in the middle by the nape of its neck. The three Nian beasts were not much bigger than chihuahuas, and Wang Yu immediately grabbed them. Wang Yu grabbed the Nian beast and was about to fight it when the little thing roared. A circle of stars appeared on Wang Yu's head. He was stunned. Damn, the system always came up with strange and illogical things. Fortunately, the stun duration of the Beast King's roar was only 15 seconds. After an instant, when Wang Yu had just recovered from his shock, the young Nians charged at him again. The intelligence of these system mode monsters was so touching. Would they fall for the same trick twice? Wang Yu once again leaped over their heads. This time, he did not use his hands to grab them. Instead, he kicked one of the young Nian beasts into the air. Wang Yu's sidekick had a stun effect. The stun Nian would not be able to use its Beast King's roar and would be ruthlessly ravaged by Wang Yu before being thrown away. Just like that, after a few exchanges, the three baby Nians were reduced to white light by Wang Yu, leaving behind three treasure chests. Treasure chests were a specialty of Rebirth. They could be found in beginner villages, wild maps, and dungeons. There were three commonly seen types of treasure chests: bronze treasure chests, silver treasure chests, and gold treasure chests. Of course, it was said that there were even higher-leveled treasure chests in God-tier boss lairs, but that was only a legend. However, there were only two ways to open these things. One was with a key. Keys corresponded to treasure chests. They were also split into gold, silver, and bronze. High-leveled keys could also open low-leveled treasure chests. For example, the key that Wang Yu got from Howard was silver, and it could open both silver and bronze treasure chests. The other type was Rogue. Because Rogue's passive skill was Unlock, even if Rogue could only open bronze treasure chests before level 20, this allowed this class to be ahead of other classes by quite a bit. That was why nearly 30% of the players in Rebirth were Rogue. Because of this, there were often people on the forum who would joke, if the grandpa is the biological son, then the rogue is probably the eldest son, and the Grandmaster of Combat is a child picked up from the streets. These were three silver treasure chests. Wang Yu took out the key and opened the treasure chest. While he obtained 30 New Year's points, he also took out three large firecrackers. Motherf ****. Wang Yu felt like cursing. It wasn't easy to get rid of these three annoying brats, but they actually dropped something like this. Large firecrackers can explode and make a loud noise. Happy New Year to everyone. System notification. Do you want to light the firecrackers? Like your sister. No. The weather in the Sunset Mountains was dry. Wang Yu still understood the principle of setting fire to the mountain and burning it to the bottom of the prison. While he was killing Nian, the wandering musketeers respawned again. Just as Wang Yu was about to continue fighting, Chun Xiang sent him a message. Brother Iron Ox, I have calculated with my fingers. The two of us are in luck. Speak human language. Should we kill Nian? Chun Xiang asked. No. That's too much. Wang Yu did not have much hope in the system anymore. After fighting for so long, it only gave him 3 firecrackers. Wasn't that a waste of points? Chun Xiang advised. Killing Nian gives you points. No matter how shameless the system is, it only dares to tamper with the probability. We still have to maintain our reputation. Wang Yu thought about it carefully. That was indeed the case, so he replied, "Where are you?" "Sunset Mountains 25843154, come quickly." "Okay." After replying, Wang Yu hurriedly ran to Chun Xiang's coordinate. Chun Xiang's location was not far from Wang Yu. It was a level 25 monster area. At this stage, there were very few people who could kill monsters 10 levels higher than them. Chun Xiang was one of them. When Wang Yu found Chun Xiang, this uncle was lying on a mound sneakily. He did not know what he was up to. Wang Yu walked over and patted Chun Xiang's shoulder. "What are you doing?" Chun Xiang was shocked by this sudden pat. He instinctively rolled to the side and raised his staff to attack. When he saw that it was Wang Yu, he relaxed. "You scared me. Why don't you make any sound when you walk?" Wang Yu was a martial artist, so he was used to making no sound when he walked. "Ugh! Where's Nian?" Wang Yu asked. "There, over there. Get down." Chun Xiang pointed to the other side of the mound. Wang Yu lay down and looked in the direction that Chun Xiang was pointing. He saw that on the other side of the mound, a dozen or so players were surrounding a large Nian. This Nian was about the size of an adult Tibetan Mastiff. It looked like a tiger and looked like the 3 cubs. However, it was much more majestic than the 3 cubs. Even though the Nian was small, its attack and speed were frighteningly high. The players were shaken by the Nian's charge, but they still maintained their formation. The 2 tanks were very strong under the white light of the 4 healers. Even though the damage dealers were having a hard time, the Nian's aggro was completely controlled. "Are we going to kill Steel?" Wang Yu asked Chun Xiang. In the game, killing a player was equivalent to killing one's parent. This was something that Wang Yu knew from the beginner's village. Chun Xiang smiled wretchedly. "Of course! That's not good." Wang Yu was a righteous person, but he began to hesitate. Chun Xiang said, "Are you stupid? It's just a game. Of course we should do whatever we want." "But that's immoral. You didn't think it was immoral when you extorted skill books from them," Chun Xiang said with disdain. Wang Yu said, "That's an NPC." Chun Xiang continued, "All beings are equal, no matter if it's an NPC or a human. In any case, extortion is immoral. It's just killing Steel. It's not a big deal. Nian doesn't belong to them anyway." When Chun Xiang said this, Wang Yu was really tempted. He asked Chun Xiang, "What if I'm recognized?" Chun Xiang laughed and took out 2 rags. He gave one to Wang Yu and said, "Cover your face with this and hide your badge." Seeing how professional Chun Xiang was, Wang Yu was shocked. "Do you do this often?" "Follow me." Chun Xiang didn't reply. He jumped out and threw distortion into the battle. The players were having a good time fighting. Seeing that Nian's HP was down to 40%, Chun Xiang's distortion messed up their formation. 2 warriors were bitten to death on the spot. Wang Yu was shocked. "If you attack them, the system will notify you." Chun Xiang showed Wang Yu a piece of equipment. Only then did Wang Yu relax. Hermit's Mark, necklace, bronze, attack, 5-12 mana, 2-5 hide, hide your identity from lower-level players and NPCs. PK won't notify you. What a professional equipment! Who knew if it was a blessing or a curse for a shameless person like Chun Xiang to get such a shameless equipment? Damn it, who are you? How dare you steal our unmatched Long Song's monsters? The players glared at Wang Yu and scolded. Chun Xiang replied, "I will never change my name. I am the Blood Alliance's Blood Rogue. If you know what's good for you, scram. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die without a grave." Chapter 78. Broadcast. Follow Qidian reading, and receive news of the 515 red envelope. Those who haven't snatched any red envelopes since the new year can now show off their skills. Unmatched Longsong was the second largest guild in Yuhuiqing. The guild leader was one of the top 10 archers in Yuhuiqing and had a high reputation in Yuhuiqing. If it wasn't for the fact that Blood Alliance was an old guild in Huaxia and had many members, who knew who would be the #1 guild in Yuhuiqing? Of course, Chuanjin was an exception. Other than those who had fought with them before, no one would care about an 8-man guild. Now there were 12. Therefore, it wasn't a secret in Yuhuiqing that Unmatched Longsong and Blood Alliance didn't get along well. It was said that these two guilds often had conflicts in the leveling area. If it wasn't for the fact that development was the priority in the early stages of the game, the first guild war in the entire server might have started in Yuhuiqing. Chun Xiang was so bored that his balls hurt. If he wanted to kill Steel, then so be it. He was basically trying to turn Yuhuiqing into a pot of porridge. Hearing Chun Xiang say that he was from Blood Alliance, Unmatched Longsong was not surprised at all. After all, in their eyes, only Blood Alliance was qualified to be their opponent in Yuhuiqing. Retreat. Among the Unmatched Longsong players, a short and fat archer put away his bow and ran back. At the same time, he gave everyone the order. 2 of the tanks raised their shields and smashed the Nian beast. Then, they ran away while the others also ran away. Wild monsters were different from dungeon monsters. Their aggro was limited to a certain range. Beyond this range, the monster would lose aggro and stop chasing. The people from Unmatched Longsong were all expert. After receiving the order, they quickly retreated from the battle. Seeing that everyone had retreated, the Nian shook its head and wagged its tail before returning to its original position and lying there foolishly. The people from Unmatched Longsong surrounded Wang Yu and Chun Xiang. The short and fat archer from before was the first to be attacked. He stared at Chun Xiang and Wang Yu with an unfriendly expression and arrogantly said, "Who does Blood Alliance think they are? I've never heard of the Scarlet Gangster either." Wang Yu held back his laughter and asked Spring Xiang in the channel, "Who is this?" What he said hit the bottom of my heart. Guild Leader of Unmatched Longsong 2012. Spring Soar said, "Pretty amazing." After answering Wang Yu's question, Chun Xiang said to the people from Unmatched Longsong, "Unmatched Longsong is nothing but a fart. Hurry up and get lost. Otherwise, when our people come, you won't be able to escape even if you want to." 2012 said, "I'm dying of laughter. I can kill trash like Blood Red War Flag with one hand." Wang Yu was quite disdainful of 2012's words. It would have been fine if this guy was from another class, but it was completely unrealistic for an archer to say that he could single-handedly destroy an enemy. Chun Xiang's eyes suddenly flashed with a trace of joy. Then, he looked behind him and said, "Boss, you're finally here." Wang Yu was puzzled. "There's no one here. I'm surrounded by enemies." The people from Unmatched Longsong were startled and immediately turned around to look. At this moment, Wang Yu suddenly received a message from Chun Xiang. "Do it." Immediately after, Chun Xiang waved his staff and used distortion to freeze the 5 people in front of him, including 2012. He then threw out clouds of poison mist and poisoned 3 warriors. At the same time, Wang Yu flew out and strangled 2 mages to death and kicked a priest to death. Chun Xiang's poison was much stronger than the poison of ordinary dark warlocks. Not only did it have the speed reduction and weakening effects of other warlocks, but it also had poison and corrosive properties. The warriors who were poisoned had their defense and HP rapidly drop. They couldn't even protect themselves and had no time to care about their teammate. They took out health potions and gulped them down. How could Wang Yu let them do as they wished? He jumped behind 3 of them and killed one with a knee strike. Then, he grabbed the heads of the other 2 and slammed them into each other. The 2 who were poisoned by Chun Xiang went on their way before they could even finish digesting their health potions. Wang Yu's 2 moves were extremely fast. From the moment she rushed out to the moment she killed 6 people, the Spring Sword Distortion's 5-second freeze effect had just ended. Before the 5 of them could react, Wang Yu had already used Eagle Stomp to descend from the sky. Duong, duong, duong. Eagle Stomp hit the heads of 3 priests, reducing them to a sliver of HP. He landed on the ground and used Thunder Stomp. Crack! The 2 archers and 3 priests died before they could even touch Wang Yu. Chun Xiang was dumbfounded. Chun Xiang and Wang Yu spent most of their time farming monsters in PvP. The only time they had partnered up in PvP was in the tavern. However, there wasn't much of a difference in numbers at that time, and Chun Xiang and the others had logged off early. The subsequent battles were only hearsay, and the videos on the forums only showed Wang Yu soloing the Bird of Paradise. Therefore, it was Chun Xiang's first time seeing Wang Yu's PvP skills in a 1 versus many battle. That's 11 elite players. Chun Xiang's heart was in turmoil. Even with my help, the battle was finished in less than 10 seconds. That's way too overpowered. Wang Yu bent over and picked up a few of the dropped equipment. She walked up to the dumbfounded Chun Xiang and said, "These guys are so weak. Is that guy really a top 10 archer?" If it weren't for the fact that he had been immobilized by Spring Sword, he wouldn't have been killed by Wang Yu so easily. Archers had the highest agility growth out of the 7 classes. Even if he couldn't beat Wang Yu, he could at least run away. Chun Xiang muttered, "You're the one who's too strong." Hee hee. Wang Yu laughed and said guiltily, "Let's hurry up and fight the boss. If he comes back, our identities will be exposed." "Okay." Chun Xiang replied and walked over to Wang Yu. Adult Nian, 30, Special Skills. Beastmaster's Roar, Dusk's Charge. Adult Nians were basically no different from young Nians. Their attributes were doubled, but their skills remained the same. Wang Yu had just fought 3 Nian cubs, so she had seen these 2 skills before. Chun Xiang had been watching Endless Song's people fight for a long time, so he naturally had a good understanding of Nian's attack methods. Little Ghoul, Twist, Immobilize, Poison, Weaken. Nian's aggro was locked onto Chun Xiang. Wang Yu punched, side kick, collapsing fist, knee strike. His punches and kicks landed on Nian's body. The 2 of them, one attacking and the other defending, cooperated seamlessly. Nian did not have much HP to begin with, so it fell to the ground and threw out a treasure chest. Seeing the treasure chest, Wang Yu's heart tightened. He then said to Chun Xiang, "I bet there's nothing good inside." Chun Xiang smiled. "As long as you have points. Do you have the key?" "Yes." Wang Yu lowered his head and opened it. Both of them received 100 points each. Then, Wang Yu took out a huge firework from the treasure chest. Extra large firework, creates a loud explosion and dazzles everyone. Happy New Year! System notification. Do you want to ignite it? It's recommended to ignite it at night, the effect is better. Wang Yu casually put the firework into his bag. Yu Huiqing had the sun set 24 hours a day, so there was no night. Chun Xiang stared at the open treasure chest and touched it. He said gloomily, "There's really only this thing. The system is so stingy." "I knew it, but you didn't believe me." At the same time, Yu Huiqing's revival point. 2012's face was gloomy. He was one of the top 10, so 10% was much more than others. Moreover, he had died in such a humiliating manner. 2012 said angrily, "Blood Alliance is so daring, they actually dared to kill me." The priest called Noah's Ark said, "That's not right, when did Blood Alliance have such a strong expert?" 2012 said coldly, "Scoff, Blood Alliance is one of the top 10 guilds in China, so it is normal for them to have experts. If we hadn't been ambushed, they wouldn't have succeeded so easily." I still feel a little uncomfortable. Noah felt that something was wrong. 2012 said impatiently, "Who cares, send my orders, everyone gather and head out of the city. If you see anyone from Blood Alliance, don't leave a single one alive." Damn, this bunch of trash, I have wanted to kill them for a long time. Chapter 79. Latest news: tomorrow was 515 Qidian's anniversary celebration. It was the day with the most benefits. Other than the gift bag and the school bag, the 515 red envelopes had to be flipped through. There was no reason not to snatch the red envelope. After killing the Nian, Chun Xiang suddenly noticed the gun on Wang Yu's waist. Grandmasters of combat were two-handed classes, so their secondary weapons were on their waist. Is this a secondary weapon? Chun Xiang pointed at the gun and asked Wang Yu in surprise. Secondary weapons were very rare. Although they were sold in the shops in the city, high-end players like Chun Xiang would not be interested in those one-to-one throwing knives. High-end secondary weapons like the light crossbow were hard to come by. The one on Wang Yu's waist was obviously of a higher level than the light crossbow. This made Chun Xiang very surprised. Yup. Wang Yu nodded. Can you let me play with it? Chun Xiang asked enviously. Equipment in the game was much more valuable than life. Unless they were friends who had been through life and death, normal people would not ask such a thing. Wang Yu smiled and took out a handful from his bag and threw it to Chun Xiang. You can have it, ah. Chun Xiang's face was full of disbelief. High-end secondary weapons could not be bought even with money. One had to spend a lot of effort to collect them. Wang Yu actually gave one to someone so casually. It's different when you're rich. You can even buy 2 secondary weapons. Chun Xiang sighed. It dropped. Wang Yu said solemnly. The wandering musketeers dropped this thing, but the drop rate was too low. It only dropped a few with a 3 times drop rate. Damn, you actually told me the secret of dropping this thing? Chun Xiang was once again shocked by Wang Yu's innocence. Secondary weapons were already very precious, so the secret of dropping secondary weapons would be very expensive. If it were other players, they would definitely hide it, afraid that others would find out. However, Wang Yu was different. He took the initiative to tell others before they even asked. This guy must be stupid. Wang Yu smiled and said, since it's a game, it's best for everyone to have fun. Those monsters aren't special. They'll be discovered sooner or later. Wang Yu wasn't a fool. Of course, he knew the importance of this secret. He had been raised in a martial arts family since he was young, and sectarian bias was even more excessive than this. Because of this, martial arts had declined. It's just a secondary weapon spawning ground. There's no need to be so protective. That's true. Spring Xiang nodded and said, Can you take me to take a look? This thing was very expensive right now, and it wouldn't be bad if he could farm a few more. It's not far away. When the two of them arrived at the camp of the wandering musketeers, the musketeers had already respawned. The entire camp was filled with 20 monsters. Fortunately, these monsters all had their own aggro range. Otherwise, a slight move would affect the entire camp. With their critical hit stats, even an expert like Wang Yu wouldn't be able to handle it. At this time, Wang Yu also saw how Chun Xiang killed monsters. He summoned 4 little demons and controlled one of them to run into the middle of the musketeers. He touched them here and there, and before long, he lured 5 musketeers over. When the musketeers formed a group, Chun Xiang threw a twist to control them. Then, he threw out clouds of poison mist to slow them down. The 4 little demons surrounded the 5 musketeers, and before long, the 5 musketeers were wiped out. His control and damage output were very precise, making people gasp in amazement. This kind of killing method was not inferior to Wang Yu's punches and kicks. Wang Yu finally understood why he had killed so many bosses by himself, but was being chased by Chun Xiang. You're amazing, Brother Chun. Wang Yu sincerely praised. Chun Xiang laughed and said, I have to get used to this new mode. Otherwise, I would be even more efficient. I'm not like you, who started playing this mode from the start, so you can get used to it faster. Yes, it's like this, Wang Yu said. Wang Yu hadn't played a keyboard and mouse game before, so he didn't have many bad habits that were hard to change. In comparison, he could get used to it faster. In a new mode, the more experienced a player was, the more uncomfortable they would feel, and the longer it would take for them to get used to it. The two chatted as they killed monsters. After killing 3 waves of monsters, not a single musket dropped. It seemed that in a party the drop rate was much lower. Why don't we split up and farm for a while? Wang Yu suggested. That's not good. Chun Xiang waved his hand and said, there's always a chance for something like a drop rate. I just thought of a way to get 100% chance of getting a musket. What way? Steal it, Chun Xiang said. Steal? How? Wang Yu was puzzled. At the same time, he thought to himself, Brother Chun, are you a robber? You can think of the word steal for everything. I remember that you stole a weapon from someone before, Chun Xiang said. Last time in the tavern, Chun Xiang saw Wang Yu steal the Blood Azura's weapon with her own eyes. You want me to steal it from them? Wang Yu was slightly startled and suddenly laughed. Aya, why didn't I think of that? Chun Xiang said, because you adapt to the game quickly. I just don't know if it'll work. It doesn't cost money to try. The two sat on the ground and rested for a while. When the musketeers respawned, Wang Yu targeted the closest musketeer and rushed over. As soon as he stepped into the musketeer's aggro range, the musketeer yelled and pounced over. The whip in his hand curled up. Wang Yu dodged to the side and used collapsing fist to cut into the musketeer's chest. Among the intelligent NPCs that Wang Yu had seen, this dwarf was considered honest. Young man, you're really good. You're also someone that old man approves of. I wonder if you're interested in inheriting my mantle? Simba asked as he took the wine from Wang Yu. Hearing Simba's words, Forge the Future, who had been standing at the side, said excitedly, Boss, the god of crafts wants to take you as a disciple. Hurry up and agree. This. Wang Yu was a little hesitant. He had not really thought about sub-professions. After all, this thing was too difficult to train, and Wang Yu thought that he did not have any talent for it. However, when Wang Yu looked down at the gun on his waist, he suddenly changed his mind. Okay, Wang Yu said. The creation of the subweapon, the gun, required the blacksmith profession. If he could really get the recipe, creating equipment would be much faster than killing bosses and getting equipment. Not bad, you have courage. When I was young, I wanted to be the god of crafts, so I focused on forging in the Sunset Mine. After I leveled up, my forging hammer was lost in the mine. Can you help me find it? System notification. You have activated the hidden quest. The God of Crafts Lost Tools. Quest rank A. Do you accept? Accept. System notification. You have received the hidden quest. The God of Crafts Lost Tools. Go to the Sunset Mine and retrieve the God of Crafts Simba's tools. Thunder Hammer 0 of 1. The system could not be measured with common sense. This Simba was at least 50 or 60 years old. The tools that he had left behind when he was young were at least a few decades old, yet they had not been picked up or refreshed. After accepting the quest, Wang Yu was not in a hurry to do it. Instead, he went offline. After going offline, Wang Yu went to the kitchen. He also wanted to cook for himself, but after walking around, he realized that he could not do anything other than turn on and off the gas. Should I put in the oil first or the vegetables first? Oh, I should cut the vegetables first. I should wash them before cutting. Wang Yu held the eggplant in one hand and the cucumber in the other. He was in a dilemma. Just as Wang Yu did not know what to do, Mu Zixin came to the kitchen and saw Wang Yu in a daze. She could not help but say, "Hubby, I'm hungry. It's all my fault. I forgot to cook when I was playing games." No, I wanted to cook for you," Wang Yu said. Mu Zixin heard this and immediately walked to the stove. After checking the gas, she said with relief, Don't enter the kitchen in the future, do you hear me? Wang Yu. It seems like I still lack the talent to be a good man. Why did you go offline? Wang Yu asked. Mu Zixin smiled and said, I saw that you went offline, so I went offline. Wang Yu was slightly startled. He touched Mu Zixin's head and said, Silly woman. Just play your own game. Why do you have to do this? After eating, he went online again. Chapter 81. Latest news. Tomorrow was 515 Qidian's anniversary celebration, the day with the most benefits. Apart from the gift bags and school bags, the 515 red envelopes were definitely a must. There was no reason not to snatch the red envelope. If magic attacks don't work, then use physical attacks, Wang Yu said. This was something Mingdu had taught him. To place one's pride said, it doesn't work. Physical attacks don't have much effect. Dao Shui's backstab only dealt 20 HP. It can't be. Wang Yu glanced at Nian. The scales on its body were black and shiny, and it did look quite sturdy. Try where it doesn't have scales, Wang Yu said. Dao Shui spread his hands and said, I can't reach it. Nian only had 2 places without scales. One was on its head and the other was under its tail. As a thief, Dao Shui naturally wouldn't face such a monster head-on. However, if he had to stab his beloved dagger into the boss's anus, he would probably be traumatized. Oldly, you can't reach it? I tried with magic, but it didn't work, Oldly said. I'll give it a try. Wang Yu refused to admit defeat. He took 2 steps forward and kicked the Nian beast's head with lightning around him. Poof! With a soft sound, Wang Yu felt as if he had kicked a rock, and all the power disappeared. -97. A number appeared above Nian's head. Roar! Nian was kicked in the head by Wang Yu. It roared, and everyone around it fainted. Then, Nian passed Yin Lao Air and Chun Xiang, and smashed its head on Wang Yu's body, knocking out Wang Yu's chi barrier. Chun Xiang and Yin Lao Air weren't known for their damage output, so Wang Yu pulled the aggro onto himself. The stun from Nian's Beast King roar lasted for 3 seconds, and the invincibility from the Chi Guard lasted for 2 seconds. From the first attack to the moment the Chi Guard disappeared, the stun would be over. After the effect disappeared, Wang Yu rolled on the ground and arrived under the Nian's body. He switched his weapon to Fighter's Persistence and swung it at the Nian's front claws. -72. The damage was not high, but it caused Nian to sway slightly. The Nian beast roared again and again, lowering its head to bite Wang Yu. Wang Yu pushed the rod upwards, and the Nian beast stiffened again. -84. While the Nian was stunned, Wang Yu rolled again and rolled out from under the Nian's body. He used his staff technique, and a sky full of staff shadows wrapped around the Nian. Staff techniques were different from hand-to-hand combat. It was a technique that required a lot of skill. Using the tip as the point of force, the 2 sides as the door of life and death, dodging, and using the body as the axis, using the staff to control the opponent. This was the highest level of staff technique. In martial arts novels, there was a kind of stick technique called the dog-beating stick technique. It talked about the 8 formulas of tripping, chopping, entangling, poking, picking, leading, sealing, and turning. Although this stick technique was fabricated, the 8 words of the formula were real. The staff technique that Wang Yu was using was called the coiling dragon staff technique. It was also a technique used by the infantry to deal with cavalry in ancient times. It was very effective in hitting the legs of horses in battle. Although the staff in Wang Yu's hand was not a specialized coiling dragon staff, it was more than enough to deal with this kind of system monster and entangle it. Wang Yu took over the Nian's aggro, and the pressure on Chun Xiang and Yin Lao Air decreased. Everyone looked at Wang Yu, who was locked in battle with the Nian beast. Their expressions and attacks became numb. In their eyes, Wang Yu was like a Superman. Even if Wang Yu took down the Nian beast, they would not be as shocked as before. There's something wrong with this monster. Seeing the Nian shaking its head and tail and the Beast King's roar coming off cooldown, Wang Yu hurriedly jumped back out of the attack range. What's wrong? The others also retreated and asked Wang Yu. Wang Yu's current performance was even more monstrous than the monster. My attack has defense penetration properties, but it still can't deal much damage. Don't you think it's strange? Wang Yu ignored everyone's teasing and asked in a serious tone. I think it's because of the Guardian of Dusk, Wuji said after thinking for a moment. Nian had already used Dusk's Charge and Beast King's Roar, but Guardian of Dusk was the only skill that it had not used. No matter how you looked at it, it was a passive skill. Sometimes, passive skills were more difficult to deal with than active skills. What do we do? Won't we fight until tomorrow morning? Wang Yu asked gloomily as he looked at Nian's health bar. It had only lost a little more than 1,000 health, and it was showing signs of recovering. Using martial arts to play the game was very tiring. Even if there was no such thing as stamina in the game, fighting continuously for an entire night could still tire a person to death. Wuji said, There's no such thing as an unsolvable boss. Iron Ox, you can tank the monster. Everyone just attack with everything you have. I don't believe that its passive skill has no weaknesses. Everyone nodded and switched to their DPS equipment, going all out. Bang! At that moment, a gunshot rang out, causing Nian to tremble slightly. -624, a blood-red number floated up from Nian's body. Huh! Everyone was shocked. What kind of god was this? How could he deal such a high damage? I turned around and saw Chun Xiang holding a musket in his hand. He was standing there in a daze, as if he couldn't believe that he had dealt that damage. Chun Xiang was a warlock, so his damage output had always been low. After using all of his skills, he took out his secondary weapon. The damage of the secondary weapon was stacked with the damage of the main weapon, so a single shot was definitely stronger than the energy ball from the staff. Who knew that a single shot would deal such high damage? F***ck, Brother Chun, you're really something else. Everyone said in admiration. Chun Xiang came back to his senses and stared at the musket in his hand. I think it's the problem with this gun. Nian is afraid of gunpowder. Everyone nodded. That's right. In Chinese legends, Nian is indeed afraid of gunpowder. Could this be Nian's weakness? It can't be wrong, Wuji said. Speaking of which, Brother Chun, where did you get such a treasure? Secondary weapons were extremely precious. In an era where people still used throwing knives, Chun Xiang's technology had actually advanced to the point of musket. It was really surprising. Iron Ox gave it to me, Chun Xiang said. F***ck, Uncle Nyo, do you have any more of these treasures? Can you give me one? Just as Chun Xiang finished speaking, Mingdu moved in front of Wang Yu. Get lost! Wang Yu swatted Mingdu away with his rod. Nian's claws also landed on the spot where Mingdu was just standing. Seeing this scene, Mingdu's little face turned deathly pale. If this claw hit him squarely, he would definitely die with his small body. What's going on, Iron Ox? Can't take it anymore? Everyone was shocked. Although these people didn't know martial arts, they could tell that Wang Yu's rod was used with ease just now, but now Wang Yu's rod technique was a little messy. As Wang Yu parried the attacks, he cursed anxiously, Damn it, one shot and this guy will go crazy. Wuji said excitedly, I guessed right. Nian is afraid of gunpowder. F***ck. Hurry up and help. Wang Yu was also anxious and couldn't help but spit out vulgarities. Nian had been frightened by Chun Xiang's gunfire, and his speed and attack had clearly increased. This special boss was already much more difficult to defeat than normal bosses, and now that his stats had increased, no matter how strong a martial artist was, there would still be a limit. What a bunch of idiots! Why were they still trying to explain? Hearing this, Chun Xiang immediately called for Little Ghost to go up. Yin Lao Air also changed into his defensive equipment and used Shield Bash. The two clerics, Wu Ji and Li Shui, followed closely behind. Wang Yu dodged and jumped to the back. He took out 3 muskets and threw them to Bao San, to place one's pride and Mingjian Daoshu. He then pointed at Nian and said, "Kill him." Saying this, Wang Yu took out a cylindrical object from his bag. P.S. Chapter 82. Huh? What's this? When the others saw Wang Yu take out this item, they felt that it looked familiar. Firecracker, you guys didn't hit it? Seeing the shocking damage of the musket, Wang Yu immediately thought of the fireworks that were also made of gunpowder. The Nians didn't drop anything else other than firework. It seemed like they were used to blow up their boss. Oh, no wonder it looked familiar. It's a firecracker. We've hit it before, everyone said. In the afternoon, everyone had encountered a few waves of Nian cubs. Take them out and blow him up, Wang Yu said. Yes. Everyone lowered their heads. This thing was useless. Other than people like Wang Yu who had nothing better to do, no one would use it to fill up their inventory. After all, at this stage of the game, everyone's inventory only had 20 slots. There wasn't enough to put anything else, so who would put trash in? Save it for next time. After saying that, Wang Yu rushed over. The gun dealt physical damage. To place one's pride and the others, they were all classes with high physical damage. The damage of secondary weapons depended on the user's stat. At this moment, the 3 of them were firing one shot after another. Their damage was much higher than Chun Xiang's. This was especially true for Snowblade. Every shot dealt 1800 damage, which was almost 3 times Chun Xiang's. The higher the damage the other 3 dealt, the more unstable Nian's aggro became. If it wasn't for Chun Xiang firing his gun and using poison to control it, he would have long since OT. Nian's HP was getting lower and lower. The pressure on Chun Xiang and the others increased. Seeing that the 4 of them couldn't hold on any longer, Nian shook his head and was about to use a skill. Dodge. The 4 of them retreated. At this moment, Wang Yu ran over. Roar! Nian roared and activated Beast King's roar. At the same time, Wang Yu threw the fireworks in his hand into Nian's mouth. Purring! 17235. A huge damage number appeared above Nian's head. Roar! The Nian beast roared again and pounced over at an extremely fast speed. Wang Yu somersaulted forward. He flipped under Nian's body and lit another firecracker. Purring! 10,000. At that moment, Wang Yu noticed that Nian's body trembled as if it was afraid. As expected, after being hit twice by the firecrackers, the Nian actually turned around and ran towards the entrance of the valley. The others also noticed that something was wrong and were stunned. What kind of skill was this? Is he going to turn around? Wu Ji shouted. Go back my A**s, this beast wants to run away. F***ck. There's such a thing? Everyone was shocked. The boss in the game actually knew how to escape if he couldn't win. Damn it, he had no morals at all. As a qualified player, how could he let the boss slip away from under his nose? Without another word, everyone chased after him. Wang Yu activated his ghost skill, and his speed abruptly increased. It did not take long for him to catch up to Nian. He sent a chi wave at the ground, and using the recoil, Wang Yu leaped up. At the same time, he pushed his staff against the mountain wall and stood in front of Nian. Nian looked at Wang Yu, who was holding the staff with both hands and blocking its way. It roared angrily and brandished its claws as if saying, "You think you can stop me?" Wang Yu smiled leisurely and threw another firecracker on the ground. Purring! 5,000 this time, Nian learned its lesson and knew to dodge. It didn't hit, but it still caused quite a bit of damage. The startled Nian turned around and ran back into the valley, almost trampling the others who chased after him to death. Fortunately, at the crucial moment, Chun Xiang also took out a firecracker and threw it on the ground, causing Nian to turn around again. The mighty Nian was like a wild dog locked in the yard, running around like a headless fly. This way, the pressure on Wang Yu and the others to block was gone, but the pressure on them to deal damage increased. Nian moved too quickly, and to place one's pride, and the others who were in charge of dealing damage couldn't aim at all. The firecrackers that were dodged also lost their effect. We can't go on like this. How many firecrackers do we have left? Wuji saw that Wang Yu had missed 2 firecrackers in a row and frowned. 6 more, Wang Yu said. They had killed 4 waves of Nian babies, and each wave had 3 firecrackers. They had just used 6. I have 2 more, Chun Xiang said. We have to think of a way to stop Nian. Otherwise, the last few firecrackers won't be very effective, and the muskets won't be accurate, Wuji said. Wang Yu looked around the valley and pointed at a mountain wall not far away. Wuji looked in the direction that Wang Yu was pointing and found the mountain wall. There was a depression on the mountain wall, and the depression was surrounded by large rock. The side facing them was very short, about half a meter tall, and it was a good place to stop Nian. It's a good place, but how do we get it in? Also, that rock is only half a meter tall, what if it jumps out? Wuji asked. No matter how the boss was a system monster, it was still a boss. It definitely wouldn't be stupid enough to be tricked into a cage. Wang Yu said, if it's close I can pick it up. When that happens, Brother Chun can just place a distortion directly above it. Distortion was a skill that used a barrier to change the terrain. Even if the boss wasn't affected by crowd control, it wouldn't be able to break the rules if the terrain changed. Pick it up. The girls were dumbfounded. Those who hadn't seen Wang Yu's abilities before felt a little incredulous when they heard this term. However, the people from the Quanzhen sect had cleared dungeons with Wang Yu before, so they had seen it with their own eyes. And Ariel was so big, but she was still sent flying by him. Chun Xiang looked at the position and said awkwardly, no, distortion has a strict requirement. The position can't be higher than the caster. If I have to place it on a rock, I have to be at least half a meter in the air, Mingdu said. Haha, that's easy. Let second bro carry you. Everyone was speechless. Casting a spell on someone's back was a very touching scene. Mingdu's personality could be seen from such a silly idea. However, in the game, you couldn't even ride a mount, let alone a person. Wasn't that ridiculous? Yin Lao Air scolded, get lost. You only know how to talk nonsense. Even if it was possible to cast spells in the game, Yin Lao wouldn't become someone else's mount. Chun Xiang added, if I stand on that rock and cast it, it's no different from suicide. The best position is the tall rock on the west side. Nian was almost 2 meters tall, and its attack range was about 4 meters. Even if Chun Xiang added points to his vitality, he was still a cloth-armored class. Without Little Gui, he was just a health bag that could be poked. The rock on the west side was 5 meters tall, and it was just within Chun Xiang's casting range. It could also perfectly dodge Nian's attack, so it was an excellent position to deal damage. Damn, Brother Chun, you're really good at finding. That rock is so tall, who can climb it? Wang Yu said, I can. What's the use of that? Do you know Dark Warlock skills? Everyone looked at him in disdain. Why would a short-handed fighter jump so high? Stop dreaming, Brother Chun. With your old body, it's better to have your feet on the ground. You can't climb so high unless you fly. Mingdu mocked mercilessly. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.